It's time for Twig. Jeff Jarvis is here. Stacey Higginbotham's here in her brand new house. Lots to talk about, including water softening technology, dingbats, and Google's new smart home program. It's all coming up next on Twig. This Week in Google comes to you from Twit's LastPass Studios. Stay in control when it comes to your company's access points and authentication. LastPass makes security simple for your remote workforce. Check out lastpass.com/twit to learn more.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 567, recorded Wednesday, July 8th, 2020. He's just screaming in his heart. This Week in Google is brought to you by Melissa. Like expired milk, 30% of your customers' data goes bad every year. That's money down the drain. Visit Melissa's developer portal for free access to data quality APIs, demos, and code samples. Freshen up your sour data today with 1,000 records cleaned for free at melissa.com/twit. It's time for Twig, This Week in Google, the show where we cover the latest news from the snooze, from the goog. There he is, Jeff Jarvis, president. And I wish you were the president.
I used to be a president.
Former TV Guide critic. What were you president of?
President and creative director of Advance.net, the online arm of Advanced Publications.
I want you to be that again. He's also...
The paycheck was a hell of a lot better, I'll tell you that.
I bet it was. But now you're doing God's work teaching the youngs how to do journalism, which is really good. He's the Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. Always a pleasure. And we would like to...
What'd you do with Stacey? What did you do?
I disappeared.
Stacey!
Hey, Stacey,
what did we say? What did you say, Leo? Leo,
back,
what did you do?
Stacey is getting her UPS delivery, but she will be back. She's in her new house. We're very excited. And we thought it'd be better to start the show without her so we can make a big deal about her coming back to the show, because it feels like it's been weeks.
You have a theme song for her.
We have a theme song for her waiting as we wait. Should we play the waiting theme song?
Yes, you should play it.
This is adapted from the Gizwiz show. Stacey. Stacey. Stacey.
To answer the door for just one more UPS delivery.
They apparently didn't know where her house was, so. I think she doesn't know where her office is. She's lost her way back.
Lost in the mansion.
It's a giant house, and she can't figure out where her office is.
Let's note, this is Stacey's new room. She says, for those of you who are
ladies and gentlemen, it's Stacey Higginbotham. She's back. Wow.
Hello, sorry.
We thought you got lost on the way back.
No, I know I had to sign and show someone where to put it. So that was
it always takes me a long time to show someone where to put it. Was it a bookshelf? What did you get?
It was part of a water heater.
Oh,
so he had to go.
Not exciting.
Oh no! Wow.
He's installing it.
Yeah.
No, not a water heater. A water purifier. Sorry.
Purifier. Very important. Are you unwell?
I am.
Yes. Very important. You want to purify that water.
Do you do soft water?
I prefer soft water. It's better for your clothes, your hair.
Yeah,
well,
but
you
feels
can make it
slippery.
less slippery.
You can't. Yes.
How do you do that? How?
You reduce your salt.
You don't make it so soft, just a little soft.
Yeah, it's still.
Is there a titration on the salt? It's so weird. I don't really understand how this works. Stacey, please explain. Because we put in giant bags of salt, and it goes through them. I don't know where the salt goes because it's not in the. I hope it's not in the water. Otherwise, it'd be making salt water. So where's the salt going, and how does it work?
I've never understood this. And Stacey's going to know. You know, she's going to know.
I don't know. I have no idea about the chemical reaction. He just showed me where to go. He just showed me what to do to like.
Can you go down and get him and have him explain to us, please?
So here's the deal. You got your osmosis here, see? So you got on one side of the membrane there, you got your salt. The other side of the membrane there, you got the water. And then whoosh, the salt goes in the drain and the water goes in your mouth.
Well, I see a video here from Gary
yeah.
the water guy explaining how. Can you imagine being Gary the water guy?
Okay, first of all, this is the farthest we've ever gone from This Week in Google.
Oh, by the way, Stacey, the show's actually begun.
I figured that.
Yeah.
I assumed.
Yeah, okay.
We decided to begin it and let you make a big entrance.
I didn't mind because I figured we wouldn't start talking about Google for a while.
You're right. Hey, Gulligan, man, get over here. Explain it. No, we have that too because we're unwell and you want to have clean water, but you also want to have good tasting water. And yeah, it's nice to have a lot of processing. What's
There's
going on?
no one ever in the rest of the world, but yes.
Yeah, I know.
Gary the water guy.
Gary the water guy is explaining. You drink the water, you leave the salt. What's complicated about that?
Someone said something in the chat about membranes or resins or
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's complicated.
There's something.
The salt draws the heavy metals or whatever.
Is there like an ionization where the chemical
No, it's
reaction in the
osmosis.
salt is pulling?
It's
No,
sort
but
of.
it
But
would
it's
pull
osmosis. Yeah.
There's a mineral tank, a control valve, a brine tank. I guess that must be the brine tank.
All the people who know this stuff, which is like 90% of our audience,
Yeah,
are
screaming
yelling
now.
at this point.
You idiots. You idiots.
Can we get Gary the water guy as an advertiser, Lisa? He would be really great on this show.
All right. Moving right along.
Anyway, very important. No, this is important. We get our monthly salt delivery. You got to be there for that. We got to bring in the salt.
So do you have soft water too?
Yeah. I didn't know I could
slimy and
titrate.
So good for your hair.
Yeah, well, it doesn't rinse. Soap doesn't rinse as well, but it is better
You should
than
be
hard
using
water.
SLSs in your soap anyway.
SOSs?
SLSs.
What's that?
What are they?
Sodium lauryl sulfate?
Lauryl sulfate. Yeah, that's what makes things suds up.
I thought you didn't want that.
Yeah, you don't want that. But if you use shampoos and stuff without it, it doesn't.
So I do want it and I don't want it?
No, you don't want them.
Oh, you don't
so
want
if you use shampoos without it, you shouldn't have as much of a problem.
I see. But then your shampoo just lies flat on your hair. It doesn't foam up.
It's still cleaning though.
No, I don't believe.
We're just a scrubbing bubbles era of people.
And my skin doesn't feel clean. It feels slimy.
This is the weirdest conversation we've ever had on this show. All right. Google had a smart home summit this morning that was deathly boring. Go ahead. You tell us how exciting it was.
It was last night. I thought this was great. They did 3 of these. And so I don't know about you, but I watched the APAC one.
Of course you did.
That was
last night. This is your beat.
Yeah, you're a
8
geek.
o'clock.
Yeah.
And it was great. Oh, you should show Kevin's story.
Okay.
Yeah.
About Chromebooks or on your
no,
site?
Stacy on IoT.
Okay.
Kevin wrote it up for me, though.
So tell it, but while I'm showing his story, this is the new Works with Google program.
Yes. So what Google announced one big thing and basically gave us updates on a lot of other things.
Okay.
So the one big thing was that that they would create a home button or a home platform on your Android in the upcoming version of Android where you press the home button or the power button and boom, you get access to all of your smart home gear. That is the biggest, newest thing that happened.
This is sort of the way it works with Apple. If you have an iPad or an Apple TV or an iPhone, if you have an Apple device, I don't think your computer can be a hub, but everything else can be. It becomes the center. And what's kind of nice with the Apple solution is both your Apple TV and your iPad can do it. There's not doesn't have to be just one.
Right.
Is Google very similar to that?
So we don't know yet. This is going to be an Android. Is it Android 11? Is that where we are? I think so. Yes. Android 11.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming they're going to, if this works out for them and as they play with the design, what are those, the little tiles or whatever they're calling them?
The widgets?
The widgets, the tiles.
Yeah.
We'll start to see those shrink. I mean, are they going to put it in like Wear OS? Who cares? No one's using that, right?
Right.
But maybe one day when they have Fitbit, they'll do something better. And of
course, those of us who use Google Home Hubs, the screens, I presume those will also be used that way, right?
Well, those already have it. So what you're going to see on your phone is the
what
things
you see on the screen.
you can actually drill down to this type of things you see on the phone. But in the display. But the cool thing is you've only had voice and then your apps. You had to dig forever to get to that. And it was stupid because like if you were in bed or something, you'd be like, oh my gosh, I want to turn off my lights without waking my spouse. And now you can just hit a button on your phone and just get there, which is nice.
Cool.
So that was the biggest news. The rest of it was pretty lame in the sense that we just got a bunch of updates. So, and maybe we'll see more from the developer side, but they talked a lot about the local SDK, which we are very excited about, but we've known about it since last year. And then in April, they kind of started rolling it out. We saw that
the
they have
SDK, the Software Developers Kit, is used by third parties to integrate with the Google Home stuff.
Yes.
Why? You're smiling at me as if...
No, I'm smiling because I'm like, yes, translate. That's right.
I have to. I'm sorry. That's just my job.
No, it's good.
And they have a number of partners, including Philips and Tile, GE, Casa. Are these... Some of these I've not heard of. Are these all the big players? Nanoleaf, I know. LifeX,
These
I know.
are all lights in
they're all
Casa
light.
is more than Tile. Tile's not a light, and Casa's in a light, and Homogeneous isn't a light.
Okay.
Casa might be a light because they do have bulbs and they also have the outlets. But these particular use cases, one, I think Google focused on lighting first because it's an area where latency really causes problems. When you're like turn on the light and you're waiting for 2 seconds, you notice, right? And so
yeah, it's really annoying, actually.
Yeah.
Actually, more annoying is when I turn out the lights because I'm going to bed. I say turn off the lights, and then sometimes it doesn't work, so I have to wait until it succeeds. And yes, it's just 2 seconds, but it feels like an eternity.
It does, because you're like, why did I do this again? I could have just hit a switch.
I'm used to just flipping a switch, right? Yeah. Except that it's more lights than one switch could control. So.
And
I like
CJ in the chat
yeah
is saying that you can actually try the new feature now with the Android 11 beta.
Well, that's one of our changelog points, but I do have
yep. Don't get ahead of us, Stacey.
Well, we can get ahead of us. I have the latest.
Well, we were talking about it, so I was like, if you have it,
I do.
You
have
could try it.
So this is the beta 2 of Android 11, which part of the public beta. They just came out today, which is probably the last beta before the release, the thinking goes. So how would I do this? Is it in the settings?
Hold your power button down for a second.
Ooh, how fancy schmancy. Okay. Oh, device controls, loading recommendations. Now, we don't have probably anything here, but if I were home, this is where I'd see my Hue lights and anything else I had in this list of things, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I can add controls. Yes. Oh, you know what? This is interesting. It's seeing the stuff at home. So there's my Nest cameras. There's
my
Hello
Lisa
doorbell
right now and turn off some lights.
Well, it's not. I don't see any lights.
So what happens if you click on a camera?
Let's see what happens. Let's go to the Hello doorbell. Choose controls to access. Oh, I'm gonna turn them all on. So these are using right now. They use Nest Aware, but that's a Google product. So now it's added them. So let me just repeat now that I have those buttons on here. If I press and hold the on-off button for a second, I get the usual, the power, lockdown, emergency. I also get a Google Pay card. But then I get these buttons from my home. And if I tap front door, I don't know what happens. It should give me, it's going to give me a picture of the front door. Well, that's pretty cool.
Isn't that nice? And if you had lights, it would let you automatically turn it on or off, or it'd give you a slider.
There's somebody in my house. So that's really, so instead of having to use the Nest app now, I can have that on the front. And what else can if it were lights, I'd have a slider or controls that would change the colors.
Or blinds or any of these other things. Thermostat.
This is much needed.
Yeah, it is. That's why I'm like, it's the biggest news from the thing and probably the most interesting for most people because it makes it much more like the home app in Apple, which just, you touch it and you're like, boom, everything. Right.
And it's clever to put it on the power button because that's quick access. I don't have to launch anything. It literally is one button and there it is. I think that's actually very nice. Apple sort of is like that. You slide over and you can get it in the widget page, but and maybe now that Apple's adding widgets in the next version of iOS, there'll also be a widget to do that. But that's cool. Can I add widgets to do this too? I wonder if there's a. Oh,
Why would you want to?
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. It's so quick to get to that. I don't need to have it on the screen all the time. I mean, Hue has widgets. A lot of these have widgets, but yeah.
Yeah, but then you've got once you get to a point with all your widgets, you're like, oh crap, scrolling. There it is. This is much faster, I think.
Yeah, you're right. I love this. Boom.
Ta-da!
Yeah.
Magic.
Okay. That's part of the SDK, or that's.
It's actually very easy for developers to do. It's going to. That's the local stuff. Sorry.
Can I have routines as well here? Could I have buttons for like turn off the house at night and stuff like that?
I don't know. I would hope so. I haven't downloaded the beta yet, so I haven't played with it just yet. Sorry. I was recording my show.
I can drag them around. Oh, that's nice. So that's a little early changelog. Do I have what?
Do you have routines already for your Google Home stuff?
No. What would I say? Turn on the front door camera, then turn on the backyard camera. Then
no, you would have like good night, so your door would lock, your lights would go out.
But see, I don't have the door lock. I have Hue lights, so I could. So the Hue hub could, if I were home, would it see the Hue hub?
Yeah, you should be able to control and set up a routine for all of your Hue lights to turn them all off when you say Google. Or
that would be better than saying it out loud. No, I could say, "Hey G, now turn off the lights."
I know, but good night turns all of them off.
I don't have that many.
Okay. Well, I have like 6 things that happen when I go to sleep.
Yeah.
So the thermostat goes down, the door locks.
Yeah. Yeah. We used to have a Nest thermostat. I didn't install it when we moved. Some of this stuff. It'd be nice, for instance, if it could make sure the garage doors were closed, if it could turn off the porch light, turn off the lights in the house, lock the front door. I don't have a lock that does that.
Don't you have a Chamberlain MyQ on Google or Chamberlain MyQ?
You're talking about my garage door? No.
Uh-huh.
Should I?
Oh. I appreciate that's one of my favorite devices.
Show her. Why do you keep showing me? I'm not interesting. Jeff, wake up. Thank you.
Well, I'm boring. I don't have any of this background stuff.
Jeff is focused on me.
Switches.
Yeah, switches, which work instantly.
It ain't hard. Up,
when y'all
down,
talk about Facebook,
down,
I'm like
up, down, up, down.
Okay. So the MyQ is a garage door opener. The usefulness of that is it ties into Google. So yes, you could tell it to make sure your garage door is closed, but it sends you the alert if you leave your garage door open. So you can set a timer, like after 10 minutes, if it's still open, just send me a notification and you'll be like, hey, your garage door is open. And then you can remotely close it.
Nice.
Which is really handy for a lot of people who like worry if they left the garage door open.
I'd have to replace. So I have the ones that came with the house, I'd have to replace those.
You don't have to replace them. It's actually a little device you stick on the top of your.
It talks to
as long as it's. Yeah.
It's HomeLink compatible, so it'll probably work.
Yeah, then you're fine.
Yeah.
It's long as it's like 1996 and older, or and younger. Sorry.
What's this called?
The Chamberlain MyQ. It's one sensor. You need one sensor for your door, your garage door, and you just tape that on there. And then there's a little router hub that you stick on your garage door opener itself.
Nice. So I've got 2. So do I have to get 2, or I guess I would.
You would just buy one of the hubs and then 2 sensors.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, I'm going to do that. Now I can have actions. I can have scripts. Why didn't you just open the door for the guy?
Yeah. See, Stacy? See, you could have just opened the door.
You had to show him where it goes. Yeah.
It goes down in the storage area with all of the house accoutrement.
Isn't that the son who ran for president in Succession? I think it is. All right, cool. That's Chamberlain, which makes, as I thought, made garage door openers, but now I see they do so much more. MyQ Smart Home. Well, thank you, Stacy. See, we missed you. Anything else they announced?
So you can buy more things.
Well,
so the only the other big news from the Google Smart Home stuff. So we're excited about local SDK. that they just talked about it a little bit. They also did their smart home entertainment devices that they're integrating and giving a deeper integration into Google Home with so you can cast to more things and more things you can control things on certain entertainment devices. And then the other really useful thing that people will care about is when Google did transferred away from Works with Nest to Works with Google, I don't know if y'all remember, but it basically took away the ability of the Nest thermostat and other devices to talk directly to other devices in the home.
Right.
So a lot of people lost presence awareness, and that made them sad. Google is now bringing back presence awareness. So if devices in your home are no one's here, it'll tell those devices, and then it will automatically turn your cameras on, lower your thermostat, whatever needs to happen. Okay. So that is the other thing.
And does that require an Android phone to know that you're home or not?
No, it's based on the devices. It's based on the Google devices in your home.
So if they hear you or see you, then
it's like the PIR sensor in the Nest, or I guess if your cameras are on.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Well, we don't have cameras in the house for that, obvious reasons. But okay. Now, did they announce any new hardware at all? No.
No hardware. We were sad.
Yeah. Did they talk about the chip alliance at all? Because that's the...
They did. And it was so lame. It was basically just what... Yeah. It was basically what Apple did at WWDC, which was hey, chip, we're part of it. It's still happening, and it's coming the end of this year. And
remember, we were skeptical that Apple, Google, and Amazon could ever agree on anything. But this was the idea, was unifying their connected home efforts.
And this is frustrating because there's so many questions. If you're a developer, you're okay, how are they going to handle device onboarding? How are they going to handle things like talking to assistants? People really want to know this. And no one, Google, Apple, all the working groups, they're figuring this out, but they're not allowed to talk about anything. Google and Apple and Amazon are locking it down. So all we know is it's still expected by the end of this year, before the end of this year, the first certification, your first devices then will come out next year. So that's where we are. That's where we've been.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
Yeah.
We missed you, Stacey, for many reasons. But one was when the Apple chip stuff was coming out. It was, Stacey should be here.
Oh, it was Apple Silicon.
Oh, the ARM stuff.
Yeah.
Was that it?
Yeah. Actually, and this is really not, hey, it's a little closer to our topic than water softeners. One of the things.
It's technology, Leo. It's
Just
technology.
One of the things that we were talking about earlier on Windows Weekly kind of stunned me, which is that I thought because Microsoft has been promoting Windows on ARM and working hard, that Windows would somehow be able to coexist with Apple Silicon, at least run in emulation or run, somehow. And Paul told me, they really shouldn't call it Windows on ARM. It's Windows on Qualcomm. And apparently, and I don't know how much, but a lot of the code is reliant on features unique to Qualcomm's ARM implementation, which of course would mean that it's completely incompatible with anything Apple does. So I don't know if you're familiar with that at all, but you are our chip expert.
I'm not, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Familiar with that.
I thought that's going to be interesting. We'll talk about it on Mac Break Weekly, obviously, but people have been worried that Apple will not be supporting Windows very well in future, and this may mean they can't support it at all, which would be really odd.
Oh, through Parallels
emulation.
or BL?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think it'd be a problem because a lot of people are willing to use Macs as long as they can run a few Microsoft tools, or they can run Windows in emulation, or somehow do that. Microsoft said they would support containerization. I'm sorry, Apple said they would support containerization, but those would only work, obviously, with ARM-compatible, Apple Silicon-compatible programs. It's not emulation.
That's right. They will push for that. I mean, Microsoft is running ARM-based chips in their servers. Obviously, their servers are not running Windows, right. But there's a huge effort that ARM has seeded for the last decade to get code for, again, mostly enterprise and server-oriented stuff onto the ARM instruction set. I don't think that's going to be too
Well, this is really the question for you, because you're really up on this. We know that there's two different kinds of ARM licenses. There's the actual license of the ARM designs, and then there's the ARM architecture license, which allows you to, basically licensing compatibility with ARM. ARM is not ARM, right? Just because a chip is an ARM-compatible chip, there seems to be some big differences in ARM implementations.
Yes. So what happens is what you're licensing is the ARM instruction set, and that's the commands that it's how the chip talks to the firmware.
Does it come down to things like the registers, the number, the size, and the assembly language instructions that are required for ARM compatibility? Is that kind of what we're talking about?
I think it's lower level than that.
Is it? Oh, so it's microcode?
It's in this is where, like, because I don't code, so this is like this is how the chip deals with like memory and accessing, like sending like I/O and data back and forth.
Okay.
And how then that firmware talks to. Now, you do have to optimize all the way up the stack for an instruction set, right?
Right. Well, it's definitely a different instruction set, because that's the whole point of ARM, is it's a RISC instruction set. But it must be. So that's interesting. So it includes I/O. It includes a whole lot more. Apple's going to do its own custom systems on a chip.
The difference between an ARM, like a traditional ARM license, and an architecture license is ARM actually just introduced a couple weeks ago a custom design architecture too. So that's, and I don't know if that's what Apple's doing, but it lets you,
so there's
basically
the core license, which lets you actually use the cores. You take
the core and you pop it on.
Right.
And if you're Apple, if you're Google, if you're
going to use
Qualcomm,
something much more flexible than that, right?
Architecture lets you really tweak everything.
And then the new one that you mentioned that came out last year, ARM Flexible Access, it gives unlimited access to all of ARM's intellectual property. Basically, it's a license. Take what you want, leave the rest.
That's not it. No, it's not flexible access. This was this year. That was last year.
Okay. Yeah, that was last year.
It basically lets you design. You take the blocks of memory and you can actually design and allocate. You're actually designing your core. Oh God!
So if you have an architectural license, this is the Wikipedia article, you have to fully comply with the ARM architecture in any cores you design. So Apple has that. Applied Micro, Broadcom, Marvel, DEC, Intel, NVIDIA, Qualcomm, and Samsung. So I would presume anything designed by those companies would be interoperable.
Yes. So yes, those all have to run on the base. So that's basically ARM's way of saying, hey, any software that runs on ARM still has to run on your machines. And that's true. That is the architecture license. You can change some things, but you can't change it so it doesn't work. But what they're doing is they're fine-tuning like their L2 cache, and they're creating like software that'll create a fabric on the chip. And
so maybe Paul misunderstood what Windows on ARM, their compatibility level, because if it's designed to run with a Snapdragon, a Qualcomm chip, it should be compatible with any other ARM architecture licensees.
I don't know I just don't know what he's talking about, and I don't know how Qualcomm's optimized. I've never cared about Windows. I'm sorry.
I don't either, but I do care about Apple, and I'm curious because it would be a big deal if Windows would not run at all on Apple Silicon. All right, let's move on.
So my Twitter feed went crazy for about an hour today with the report that Twitter is looking to hire someone to work on subscriptions.
Ooh, what does that mean?
People went nuts for like an hour, then it died off, but it was the hottest thing going. And Twitter stock went up, and would you pay for tweets, or is it a Patreon? All of this because of just a job listing. My guess is that it's probably part of the Twitter open platform working group thing, and it's an infrastructure they need.
It does.
Whether
Stock
Twitter
market
will
loved
compete
it.
with it, I don't know.
10%
Yes.
jump.
Ooh, new revenue stream. Ooh.
Yeah.
Money.
Stock market.
Does Twitter? It can make money, right? I mean, it has made money.
Yeah.
Not on a regular basis.
The advertising.
Have you ever promoted a tweet?
Paid to promote a tweet? No. Can you?
Yeah, I mean,
You can do that on Facebook, I know.
That's their business model.
That's
I was just
it?
curious.
Oh, I thought there was advertising. There's no.
Well, that is the
That is
advertisement.
advertising.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
pay to promote.
Yeah. And then it says promoted, of course. Yes. No, I haven't ever done that. Maybe we might have. I don't know. People do things around here. I have no idea what they're doing.
I've never seen a twit promotion, but I was just curious if they were effective or.
You know what I get? I get twit ads all the time on the New York Times.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad it's going somewhere.
It is going somewhere, yeah. It's just kind of like, you can save your money on me.
Isn't that
I'm already
funny? I
there.
don't ever see those.
I get furniture ads.
So I tell you what, I like the idea of a subscription, not because it's a revenue stream for Twitter, but if you had to pay even $1, that would eliminate 90% of the bots, wouldn't it?
Well, I wouldn't imagine it's for all of Twitter. I would imagine it's for Leo's or Stacy on IoT's premium Twitter feed.
What would that be? What
Is
would
it
that look
Substack?
like?
Is it Substack or
What?
Patreon?
No.
You know,
But I don't want to create.
Yeah, what would that mean?
Twitter is my marketing engine. I don't want to limit the number of people who see my tweets.
I don't know. I mean, this is all guesswork. It's just a job listing.
I was going to say my tweets are not worth anything, really.
Stacy, buck up here. Have a higher view of your personal worth. Your tweets are valuable. You are valuable.
I am valuable. My work is valuable. I'm just looking at my last two tweets or something, and I'm like, they're basically marketing for my thing, stories, sponsor. I'm waiting. I'm looking for basically the Stacy tweets that are like, I am sad because it's raining. I tweeted a dog that was wearing a mask. People don't need to pay for that.
I'd pay for that.
I'd pay for dogs wearing masks more than I would anything else.
You're like, more than all your stories. I don't care.
Okay, that's interesting. So,
That was interesting.
So
I just
what
thought
would
it
it?
was-
So, but I don't know if. Okay, so you still have a free Twitter. So what do you get if you
you're gonna have
pay?
to.
So what do you get?
Well, we don't know because it's just a job
Substack.
listing. This is so speculative.
It's so
Substack?
speculative as hell.
Okay.
But it could be like Substack or it could be like Patreon. Those are the two speculations going on.
So you pay out of the goodness of your heart. You pay to.
That's the Patreon
paid-
view.
You pay to have a relationship with a writer. You pay a subscription. So Substack, and I've talked to them actually about doing subscription-based content for me. And basically it's, people pay to get articles from me because they think I'm, in my opinion, is worth, $6 a month or whatever.
There is a possibility raised by the chat room that the word subscription does not mean what you think it means because Twitter also has a subscriptions page where you can view product subscriptions, and so there's some other subscription stuff that
What I
may be
love
what
about this
they're
is the
referring
stock
to.
market went up on something no one understands.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Well, what the stock market assumed was, revenue.
Revenue, yeah.
Twitter does
now,
not seem
what if-
like it can really it's not doing a great job capitalizing on its potential. I think that's what the market's telling me.
Could they do a subscription to their API feed that could help you see things coming?
That
'Cause they had
is
talked
a
about
good
doing
idea.
that.
That's a great idea.
Well, the whole Griffin thing, I mean, what Jack talked about, how long ago now? 9 months ago now, was that it's not unlike the WordPress model where you have an underlying open source thing and then you can build on top of it, and Twitter can build on top of it. Others could build. I could build a curated Twitter on there where I guarantee to find you only smart tweets. I find you the best tweets there are. I just find the golden platinum tweets there are, and you want my tweet curation. Is that worth money? Or as Stacey just said, the data. Is there data they have to sell that I could subscribe to? That's interesting. Alerts.
Yeah, I mean, Twitter is like a massive sentiment analysis pool.
Oh boy.
And
yeah.
people pay
Right
for
now,
that.
everybody's down.
Well, but
I'm excited.
there'd be a lot
I bought
to
a
be
house.
Yeah, good for you. There'd be a lot to get out of it. You're right. I remember in the early, very, very early days, Twitter had a feature called Track. Do you remember that? Where you could track a topic and it would notify you.
The topics are back.
No,
They
but you
asked me
could
the other day,
track
but the
it.
topics are done.
You could set a
Yeah.
tracker and you would get notified if somebody was talking about something you were interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And they took it out. And in fact, I met Steve Gilmore this way. There was a bear hug camp where they wanted a lot of people were involved in this to try to get track back, because that was really one of the most valuable things Twitter was doing. So you didn't have to read the stream. You could just say, hey, let me know if somebody's talking about something I'm interested in. Maybe I'd pay for that.
Yeah, and I actually remember, because when they had that, we tried to set up a ambient notification for stories that we wanted to follow.
Right.
So if anyone's tweeting about ARM.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure Ohm was what was all over it. Yeah.
Actually, it was me.
You? Nice.
It was my idea to tie it to a light bulb.
I was going to say, did you have a little glowing orb that would turn red when they were talking about ARM?
Possibly.
Ooh. There was a device. I had it.
This was early days.
Yeah, a long time
The little
ago.
printer?
No, there was a little glowing orb that you could set up to light up in different, like if it was going to rain or like stock price went somewhere.
What was the name of that?
I don't remember.
I bet you have it there probably somewhere in the studio, because you had everything.
It would be if we hadn't probably threw it out in one of the great purges.
Today, you could do that with a Hue light bulb and an API call.
It's
or
trivial.
a LifeX bulb.
Yeah, exactly.
Their API is more accessible.
Yeah, it's easy now. Yeah. Let's take a little break. Lots more to talk about. I'm going to let you guys choose, though, because there are so many stories. So pick something you're interested in. Maybe Uber buying Postmates, or Twitter says...
I picked the last one, so the next one's on Stacey.
Twitter says it's going to add an edit button to tweets when everyone wears a mask.
That's pretty much all there is to say about that.
And actually, I think a big story that's going to be bigger all the time is what happens to the academic year. And since we have an academic with us,
or fake one,
a phony, a poser epidemic. Hey,
How come you're fake?
You got an endowed chair, man. That's the best.
Wait,
you
why
can be.
are you fake?
I'm just a journalism professor. It doesn't count.
It counts.
We don't do footnotes.
Are you tenured?
Yes.
Well, do you publish or do you perish?
Both.
Anyway, we'll talk about that. And Bill Gates says it's all social media's fault. But first, a word from our sponsor. Melissa. Melissa is my new best friend. Remember the mask fiasco we had a few weeks ago where we've changed stores, but our Twit store had these beautiful masks. And the company who was selling them, and I won't name names, I don't want to embarrass them, somehow mailed almost all of them to Florida instead of the actual states they belong to. Had they had Melissa, they would have immediately said, no, you got your address data is all wrong. It's not unusual. 30% of all customer data goes bad every year. It's like a carton of milk. You gotta get fresh milk. Your customer data is going bad. Melissa, that's their job. They've been doing it for 35 years. What's happened over time is their data has become richer and richer and richer, and they are able to do all sorts of great things. You can verify addresses, emails, phone numbers, and names in real time. So people make mistakes. Customers enter incorrect data, human error, records get duplicated. The Melissa, and there's a lot of ways to use it. You can do it on-prem as a web service. You could have it use secure FTP to upload it. You could use software as a service. There's an API. A lot, very commonly, for instance, customer service centers will have the Melissa API running, so when they're entering addresses as the customer tells them, it autofills it. And that saves huge amounts of time. And make sure everything is accurate. Another example is in a shopping cart. Typo, you say Tallahassee instead of Tennessee, Melissa will find it and correct it. Plus, you can add demographic information to your records, property and mortgage data, marital status, social media handles. Melissa fills in the gap by adding emails and phone numbers. You can identify current customers which allows you to find new prospective customers through Melissa's prospect database. Incorrect error costs you money and can cost you with a customer. Match and consolidate your records. Their matching and deduplication tools help you uncover, merge, and purge hard-to-find duplicate records for an accurate 360-degree view of your business. Their flexible deployment options mean you can set it up to use it any way you want. In fact, the best thing you could do is go to Melissa, melissa.com/twit, and try the developer portal. You could try the API directly, live, 24/7. The sandbox is there, so you get a sense of what Melissa can do. It couldn't be easier. And I want to assure you that they constantly undergo independent security audits to make sure that your data is safe, that their data is safe. They are committed to data security, privacy, and compliance requirements. They have the utmost dedication to your data security by implementing strong controls and safeguards while they're processing your data. Over 10,000 businesses trust the address experts. You should too. Bad data is as bad as sour milk. You got to get rid of it. Trust Melissa to be your foundation for data-driven success. And another nice thing, during the COVID crisis, Melissa is offering their service free for 6 months to supporting communities and qualifying essential workers. So you can find out if you qualify by going to melissa.com/twit. Don't put up with sour customer contact data. Try Melissa's APIs in the developer portal. It's easy to log on, sign up, and start playing in the sandbox 24/7. By the way, get started today with 1,000 records cleaned free at melissa.com/twit. melissa.com/twit. Thank Melissa for supporting This Week in Google. So, Jeff, Harvard's announced that they're not going to have a school year next year.
Right.
The president has announced that, yes, we are. Oh, yes, we are. I think there's at least in our local schools here in Petaluma, but I guess this is nationwide. I'm sure it's happening in Washington State and in New Jersey. The local schools are completely perplexed. They have.
It's if it's the third Tuesday of the month and the full moon is out, the kid will be there in the morning, but not for lunch. If it's confusing as hell to people. That's elementary school. And how parents can plan to work, I don't know. Stacey?
Yeah, my daughter's school sent us a 30-minute YouTube video, an 11-page PowerPoint, and then like a 20-page document to explain the first half of the plan. And I'm just like,
then of course there's the teachers the people who are most worried are the teachers.
Yeah. And they just get sloughed off and forgotten.
Well, the teachers' unions are making sure that they're not going to get sloughed off and forgotten, because you got to get the union consent before you do this. I wonder what's going to happen. Professors at Georgia Tech have launched a revolt over reopening in the fall, saying the current plan threatens the health, well-being, and education of students, staff, and faculty. Because
Georgia Tech is not going to require the wearing of masks.
Oh, it's all about masks.
It's all about masks. It's the anti-science, anti-intellectualism.
Georgia Tech can't be anti-science. I'm sorry.
Tell me. I know, but there's and so we're all in solidarity with Georgia Tech. What's their mascot? Anybody know? We are all Wolverines.
I want to say Bulldogs. Yeah, I want to say Bulldogs. Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. Now, at least here in Petaluma, and buzzes. I bet you we
are all buzzes. What kind of mascot is that? A buzz?
The Yellow Jackets. They're the Yellow Jackets. University of Georgia is the Bulldogs.
Oh.
It's Georgia Tech is the Yellow Jackets, so they go bzzz. Bzz, bzz, bzz.
Well, we are all buzzes. We stand in solidarity with the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech.
It's got to be crazy. Here in Petaluma, similar, they've got, mainly what the schools are saying is we don't know. And in fact, they've just said now we're going to be online until it's safe not to be online, which is.
That's reasonable. None of us know.
We don't know.
We're totally, we have to adapt to what You have to adapt to the situation you're in.
The problem is it's become politicized, which is really too bad.
Well, all the more so today after Pence was up there saying the schools will open.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Donald Trump's fault.
Trump says it's a Democratic plot.
Well, like that's
stay alive.
How dare you politicize the school reopening? He says.
Guilty. It's a plot to stay alive.
Plot to stay alive. So I don't. I worry. I mean, this is actually not the first time we've talked about this. Was it Jay Rosen or it was somebody who was talking about this? This is going to be a crisis come this fall, and he was saying this in April. Come this fall for higher education.
It is, and it's all over the map. A lot of schools are insisting that everything's going to be fine, and that students are less susceptible. And of course, the age of the hospitalized is going down. At my school, I think we don't have an official word at all yet, so we're still don't know. We don't know what to plan. But my presumption, my knock on wood hope, is that as few people as possible on campus.
Now, Bill Gates. Yeah. Bill Gates says it's all social media's fault.
Oh, F me.
Yeah, Bill, you're a smart man, but no.
He says, can the social media companies be more helpful on these issues? What creativity do we have? Sadly, the digital tools probably have been a net contributor to spreading what I consider crazy ideas.
You know what we need?
Well, he's not wrong about that.
We need Corona Clippy.
But he's
Corona
not.
Clippy.
He's not wrong. I see you have coronavirus.
Idea, huh?
Can I help
I was
you?
like, I see you're trying to leave the house. Do you have your mask?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
But it is the case.
It's an IoT thing, Stacey. It's perfect. You can do it.
Isn't it the case that every conspiracy theory finds fertile ground on Facebook and Twitter and all these other places?
Shall I remind you of the
YouTube.
witch trials?
Okay, well, hold up. The witch, let's not go back to Salem, but they were on the internet broadly. I mean, Reddit is Reddit social media?
Yeah, I'll include Reddit, YouTube, Twitter, actually a little bit less so, Facebook for sure.
And you can also see it anytime people get together in the real world. I mean, my dad's office is like a conspiracy water cooler.
Yeah.
I swear, these people.
No, I agree, but that would be a localized phenomenon, just like the witch trials.
The president of the United States is out there telling you not to wear masks. And how can you then, Bill, say that this is all social media's fault? Right. It's on Fox News. And you've got the Karens and the Kens out there having their theatrical fits in Costco's and Walmart's.
Right.
It's out there, and it's gonna happen. It wasn't caused by social media. We have a larger problem with cognition and education.
I agree with you, actually.
Well, I think most people don't. I mean, I am educated. I am willing to think through and challenge my beliefs and change them when they're proven wrong. But I will say that I find absent good government guidance,
that's the
I
problem.
don't really
There's
know
a
what
vacuum.
to do.
There's a vacuum.
And
read my Twitter
I do
list.
wish.
Yeah, I do read your Twitter
I
list.
do, but that takes a lot of time and effort.
It does.
Well,
that
and
a
also,
lot of people aren't.
Science, there's no consensus among scientists either.
Well, yeah, that's why you need, I mean, that's what a public health agency is for, is to say, hey, this is what we know right now. This is the best practices. And government and the government officials should then say, okay, I'm the governor. I'm going to take their educated opinion and distill it for people because that's what leaders do.
Yes.
And we don't have that right now. So we're all like trying to distill things and we don't have all the tools to do it. And
some places, though, are. But, Stacey, the problem is that you have, like, Andrew Cuomo does just that, right? My Governor Murphy does just that. But then you have the governor of Florida who says, no, we're fine. And Floridians go around the country spreading the germs.
And that's why it's sad.
Yes,
it's
I
so
agree,
frustrating.
But it's terribly frustrating. People are now going nuts today about the CDC because we're getting more political than we are on the show. But hey, we started with water softeners. We can do anything. And by the way, water softeners, a liberal hoax. They put fluoride in your water.
There's nothing wrong with the water.
Yeah.
I don't have fluoride in my water. I'm very upset about that.
I know. You can get fluoride treatments, however.
Oh, the worst thing? I 3 times I got it and I got sick. The goo they
Right.
put on your teeth.
Really?
They put goo on your teeth. Oh, yeah. And I got sick
Well,
3
it's good
times.
we don't
I
have
said,
it in the
enough
water.
of this. Enough of
Now
this.
podcasts are another source of bad information. Let's add that to the list, Bill Gates.
Sorry.
So
I forget what I was saying.
I forgot too. We got distracted. Oh, you were going to say
we were talking
CDC.
about-
What's the latest with the
CDC.
CDC?
So it's the latest CDC. So Trump said, I don't like their guidelines. They're too tough. So the CDC said, oh, okay, we'll redo them. And all the people in my feed, like Greg Gonsalves at Yale, are having fits and saying the CDC is worthless now, and they're pulling out of the WHO. It's this institutional hatred we have now.
Yeah. Well,
That's what-
but you see the consequence. If you turn your back on expertise, then more people die. Very simply.
Yeah, you're pretty much rudderless then.
Yeah. And
Well, if you turn your back on expertise and expertise is required, boom,
yeah,
people will die.
And unfortunately, politicians have other motives than the real irony of all this is nobody really liked Governor Cuomo. Nobody really likes Governor Newsom. They both have 80% approval ratings because they took some leadership role. If the president really had wanted to get reelected, I'm beginning to think he doesn't, because if he'd really wanted to get reelected, it would have been simple. It would have been simple. Just take a leadership role. Just say, listen to that guy. Wear a mask.
Get tests manufactured. I'm going to bring the power of the office.
Would have been simple. You wouldn't even have had to do anything.
No.
Just say
The
it.
CDC recommendations actually say politicians shouldn't deliver these messages
That's
because
right.
of the worry that it'll be politicized.
And in countries that have done very well, like New Zealand, Jacinda stepped back. Their prime minister stepped back, and the briefings were held by scientists, by
Same with Germany.
epidemiologists. Same with well, Germany's now surging a little bit.
They're coming back up a little bit.
That, by the way, that's the other side of this. Is maybe even if you follow best practices, this is a nasty ass virus.
Oh, you know it's going to come back. But the thing is, you can then control it in a different way.
Right. Yeah.
Right. 2 British ladies came to New Zealand. They had it, but they know the British ladies had it. They know who she talked to. You deal with that.
Yeah.
But we're so far past that.
What's sad to me is if you had a good policy, including homemade cloth face masks, our economy would not be in such bad shape that you could open things. And so that's the irony of all this, is just the slightest sense. He would have an 80% approval rating. He would sail to victory in November. It's almost as if he's doing everything he can not to get elected. I mean, he's pissing off old people. Don't piss off old people.
They vote.
Jeff and I vote.
If you listened to Rachel Maddow last night, which I'm sure to some people is, but fine, I like her. The Mary Trump book, she was just in prime for.
Did you read it? Is it out now? Can you read it?
I haven't. No, it's not out yet. But
I
Rachel was
don't
giving me
want
the
to
good
read
bits.
it. It feels like
The excerpts are out.
Yeah.
This one feels very different. It feels like she's a clinical psychologist.
Right.
And it yes, there's family stuff she's dealing with, but no, it feels like it's actually a fairly level-headed view.
Facebook has a fan subscription program. Is that?
Yes,
they
do.
You can charge. If you're a creator, they started this 2 years ago. You can charge fans a $5 monthly fee for exclusive content and a fan badge. Maybe that's what you think. That's what Twitter is thinking about.
Might be.
That's interesting. I wouldn't do that, but I could see influencers would love that, and celebrities.
I don't know
if
I would do that.
No, we're not that kind of people.
No, we're not. We're not. We're cynical, nasty
we're
old
not
people.
that. Nobody pay $5.
I'm not cynical or nasty or old.
No, I actually would pay $5
You're getting there.
to put a little Stacy badge on my Facebook feed.
Jeff, how dare you?
Well,
would my badge? What about a GIF of me?
Yeah.
Happy dance.
I want your noise. I want the Stacy noise.
Ooh, ooh.
Nope.
You know how I
terrible.
first heard Leo Laporte's name when young Jake Jarvis wanted to give. Who's this Leo Laporte you want to give money to?
Oh, he wanted to give me money?
Yeah, he did.
That was
He
nice.
joined. He did the brief time.
We had a
you
tip
did the
jar.
thing.
We still have
Yeah.
it. We just don't promote it.
Well, you did kind of a membership thing. It was like $5 a month or something.
No.
It was $5.
No. It was a tip jar.
No?
It was never. We never got anything for it, which was probably the big mistake we made.
Yeah, fool.
No, I'm bad at self-promotion, and
Me too.
I felt really guilty having advertising and asking for money. So we have a tip jar, but it's hidden. We hide it. If you really want it, you can find it. Let's see. What else? Did you read?
Oh, I wanted to read.
Yeah, your turn.
Yeah, she hasn't had her choice.
Your turn.
That's okay. I talked forever about Google. I actually really enjoyed the Bezos future thing from
That's
Current
what I was
Affairs.
going to bring up. Wasn't that interesting?
We're on the same wavelength.
Yeah. So this was an
It was
opinion
super
piece.
interesting.
Yeah, by Nathan Robinson, who is I think he's an editor there. I should go look at the
He's
byline.
got a long opinion.
Yeah.
And basically, he talks about the whole world. Like, do we want the world to look like Amazon, right? Do we want Amazon to basically get its goal of continual growth? And then he says, and plus, why is Amazon doing this? Why is Bezos so into, growing and making more money?
Yeah.
It's because he wants to send us all into space. In the parallels to the early kind of Christian, damn the earth, full speed ahead to the afterlife kind of perspective were so obvious here. It's like, oh, Bezos is just like one of those people who in the late 1800s, late 1900s, early 1900s, who were like, who cares about the earth? Who cares about this? We will all meet in the afterlife.
Right.
Except the afterlife for Bezos is colonies in space.
He says, imagine humanity spread out throughout the galaxy. There'd be 1,000 Einsteins because there'd be so many of us. And the problem with this is if you are a true, and I don't know if Jeff's a true believer in this. I mean, he talks a lot about it. This is being his,
he's doing $1 billion a year
dream. Towards
it. So
yeah. But, he has a lot of money. That's for
True.
him. That's not, that's like us giving $1,000 to a cause. He apparently got this bug when he was a kid. And the threat, according to the author of this piece in Current Affairs, is if you believe that the only future for the human race is off planet, then you'll do anything to achieve it, including send, who cares about the environment because we're going to get off the planet. I'm not paying any taxes because every penny that I give the federal government is wasted compared to my plan to bring us into space. And I don't know if this is I don't think this is what Jeff Bezos wants.
This is what's ridiculous.
But it is the case that what he's doing, is essentially saying, I want to control all commerce. I want all commerce to run through me. And I think that's a reasonable thing to say. We don't know why. He's obviously already infinitely rich.
It's a good business.
Yeah, but he doesn't need the money. We don't know why he wants to do this.
Any of these guys who
I know what
companies,
makes Sammy run.
Standard Oil,
Yeah. The good news is Walmart's going to launch an Amazon Prime competitor in July. I want to see. I think the best thing we can hope for. I mean, I like Amazon, but what we could really hope for is a challenger.
Well, some of the things that they're saying about Amazon 8 to 10 years ago, we were saying about Walmart.
Right.
I mean, nobody looks at Walmart and is
Yes,
like, yeah, their
good
labor
point.
practices are amazing.
No, that's true.
Good point, Stacey.
That's
Yeah,
true.
they were going to take over the world. They were evil. Oh my God! And now they're the White Knight.
Yeah, that's all we got left. But But the competition will keep Walmart in line, and Walmart will keep Amazon in line. I mean, it's absolutely true that Bezos's labor relations are not great. I mean,
They suck.
Yeah, he wants to basically suck every bit of juice out of his employees and doesn't much care. They're disposable to him.
This is why I like there were two pieces of
optimizing.
it. Go ahead. Sorry. Go.
No, I was going to say he's optimizing for growth, and he's done what I think is frightening. And this is actually something I think about a lot because of IoT, because it allows you to really drive home efficiencies and optimize, right? But he's optimized for lowered cost to the end consumer and higher revenue revenue, not margin, revenue for Amazon. And he is managing to squeeze every ounce of that out of the system. And it's kind of frightening, because when you do that, and technology gives you the ability to do that so efficiently, that you can win at that game, right? You can eke out to the very last 10th of a cent if you want to. You just won't care about anything else. And that's terrifying, because other companies can do the same thing. And a lot of companies emulate Amazon in this way.
So
and we're going to see.
I think the real issue, it's easy to make Jeff be the stalking horse for this, but honestly, this is the capitalistic way, is infinite growth. And I think that we really, especially now, given that we've seen the consequences of untrammeled growth environmentally, not to mention in labor practice and other things, we need to really kind of rethink this. This is going to be a difficult conversation, because everything we do, certainly in the Western world, is designed around this notion that you can continue to grow. What's your GNP? If it's negative, that's bad. It's got to be the highest number possible. And that's not, I think, sustainable on the planet. We just can't. So there actually are a lot of movements towards either zero growth, no growth, sustainable growth, that kind of thing, that I think it would really be nice to look at these and maybe rethink this kind of worship of eternal
Some growth is good and necessary. It creates jobs. It creates wealth. But the issue is how you then distribute that and what the limits are to that. So do you end up with the Carnegie Corporation, and do you end up with the Bezos Foundation and the Zuckerberg Chan Foundation, and that's how the money gets redistributed, or you do it through taxes? It's basically your choice, right? And I think there's more and more call now to redistribute wealth through taxes, and I'm all for that. That's government's job to do, and it's politically unpopular, and that's the issue.
But it's still
politically unpopular because the Republicans did such a good job in the late 70s, early 80s in demonizing government. And so here we are.
And taxes with them, yes.
I just also think, though, there is a case to be made, whether the government taxes it or not. You cannot just continue to grow. Resources run out. It is not possible.
What if you take, and this is my, I grew up reading science fiction brain speaking, but what if we took a different approach to resources? Like, we're seeing things like, there's renewable energy. There are, if you think about using things like CRISPR to grow building materials, for example, that are strong and flexible, but we don't actually invest in that sort of thing. We have the same innovator's dilemma as a country, as researchers. We don't want to undercut what we've always done, right? Which is extraction-based mining of resources, right? So I feel like more so than just saying, hey, we need to think about taxation, which we do, we also need to think about the resources we elect to use and how we're trying to use what the world has made available to us. And if we can take that shift and start shifting some of our R&D and some of our creativity into taking advantage of harnessing, not extracting, what the natural world offers, I think there could be some really cool things.
Well, and Bezos is investing in that, right? Bezos says he's put, $100 million or whatever it is toward investing in that. He's promised that the company is going to be fully on renewable energy by 2025, I think it was. So that's why the theory that he wants to destroy the Earth to get off of it, no. But he's got a business reason to do it.
100 million is nothing to that man. They said, he's got 100. He sells $1 billion worth of stock for Blue Origin every year. 100 million is nothing. And
by the way, the company, and full disclosure is I have some Amazon stock, which I have just disclosed before. But damn, it's heading toward, it could be the first $2 trillion company It's now in the $1.5 trillion
It's ridiculous.
range.
It's absurd.
It's unbelievable.
It's
the growth
problematic.
has just been
It's
unbelievable.
problematic, I think. So
That's the market.
I'm not going to be the poster boy for steady state economy. I believe in it. I think it's the right thing to do. I don't think it's going to happen. But if you want to read more, steadystate.org is the Center for the Advancement of a Steady State Economy. And I think it's there's a lot to read. And I think it's really, really good information. And
this is a discussion to have. Is this larger discussion? It gets us away from more authentic.
Yeah, because it's not just Jeff Bezos.
Technology.
Jeff's just doing what every single person in an economy like ours is trying to do. Infinite growth. But it's not sustainable. And unfortunately, Jeff's gotten very good at it. So he's, kind of the poster boy for this. But
so there were two pieces in the rundown today that I thought were very sensible in this way. One was, we just mentioned them both and then discussed. One was Politico saying that the ad boycott fine, but let's look at ad boycotts in the past. Really, it's virtue signaling, and it's going to turn out Facebook's going to be better off. This is what's happened in the past. It's a game that they're both playing. I thought was very sensible. And then Casey Newton's piece about that it's not really the press versus tech. It's really about employees versus managers, which I thought was also a very interesting take. That we're seeing fundamental shifts here. And what social media does allow now is it allows employees to gang up on to find each other and gather together and then act and put pressure on their managers. And that, to your point, Stacey, and your point, Leo, about what creates the pressure to change the rules of the game, that's a new factor here, and it's interesting to see how it's playing out. So I thought they were really interesting. Is they no longer played tech is evil. They looked at the underlying dynamics of companies and economies and communications now.
Tech's only evil because they've gotten so good at exploiting their advantage. But it's an advantage everyone would exploit given the chance. It's just it's the rules of the game. So I agree. It doesn't to assault tech or attack Jeff Bezos. I thought it was a great article and raised some interesting points, but it doesn't really get to the fundamental flaw. I think that's going to go on forever. But as somebody in the chat room says, this is a pointless conversation because we're like the paperclip factory. We're just going to keep making paperclips till there's nothing more to make paperclips with. You know what I'd like to do right now?
Kill the humans so we can make more paperclips.
More paperclips. Exactly.
More paper clips. La 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 la.
There's a lot more to talk about, but I do want to get the Google Changelog in if you don't mind. So, Jeff, would you do the honors?
The Google Changelog.
That's J.B. Rockman at the controls. Thank you, Jeff Brockman. Rumors flying that forget the Pixel 4a, get ready for the Pixel 5, maybe contributing to that. Google has now, and they admit it, discontinued the Pixel 3a and its big brother, the 3XL. Still no release of the Pixel 4a, which a lot of people were hoping would be like a successor to the 3a, which was a less expensive but yet very nice Pixel phone. There does seem to be some evidence that maybe the 4a is not going to be released. There's got to be a warehouse somewhere with millions.
Isn't there a warehouse with them in boxes? Yeah,
there has to be. So I don't know what's going on at the Goog, but there's one piece of information as we get closer to something. If they wait too long, they might as well just jump to the 5. They might as well just jump to the
free 4As for everybody.
Free 4As for everybody. Is Google Voice back? J.R. Raphael, writing at Computer World, he's a big Android guy, pointing out that, in fact, Google Voice may be back. For one thing, Google has released it from the Fi bonds that were tying it down. Now those of us with Fi can continue to use Google Voice. You don't have to give up your Google Voice number to get Google Fi. And there's now a Google Voice optional G Suite add-on. So maybe Google's decided to bring voice back. It's a strange thing, but you can now, if you are a Fi subscriber or a Google Voice user, you can now coexist peacefully. Good news, because I think Google Voice was one of the best things they ever did. One of the things, I don't know if they are really important or not, but the balloon-powered internet, or Google Loon, is not dead yet. A commercial deal.
Business.
It's a business. A commercial deal in Kenya is the first application of balloon-powered internet in Africa. And, of course, this is potentially a very big market. It is the continent with the lowest internet penetration. There is a Loon balloon. They're high-flying stratospheric balloons that bring the internet. They started delivering internet access to Kenya yesterday.
Didn't they deliver it in Puerto Rico? And
They did during the after the hurricane. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, I really thought that
It's not their first deployment. They after Maria.
No,
they
but I think
used
it's
it
more permanent.
Yeah, but this is a commercial. This is the first kind of. It's ironic because, of course, Elon Musk's Starlink is now starting to get a little ground. They've got a lot of satellites up there, and they say they're going to launch this year. So you know what? We'll see. We'll see. I just want internet on every square inch of the planet. I don't care how we do it.
Well, so do they. See, your interests are aligned.
There we go. We agree.
There's plenty of people who do not want internet on every square inch of the planet.
Who's
Just
that?
a reminder.
Dictators.
Oh no, those people definitely, and all the EMF people, the people who are burning their 5G.
Yeah. It causes COVID. Actually, Project Loon balloons have been spotted recently over Virginia and the Carolinas. That's what that thing is.
They're bringing COVID.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even joke about something like that. It'll end up being a
Somebody
meme.
will say, yeah. They fly at 50,000 feet, which is pretty. That's higher than a commercial jet airliner. That's
Well, it better
at the
be.
edge.
I don't want it to fly in.
Yeah,
where
that's true.
commercial jets are.
It's really at the edge of the atmosphere. So maybe I thought we said Loon was dead, but I guess
No, remember we were talking about at the end of the year. Was it the end of the year show where we're like the Google things that should go away? We played the game where what will be killed?
Right. Loon is living. Loon's alive, as is Google Voice. How would you like to get some traffic lights in your Google Maps? Apparently, on Android, you will.
Oh, well, I always assumed they knew where the traffic lights were because you always see the slowdown right there.
Yeah. Also, stop signs. Now, the real reason this is important is for self-driving vehicles because they don't necessarily see those stoplights or traffic lights or stop signs very well. So that's my guess. That's what that's all about. Because when you get to that intersection, there's a light there. You don't need a map to tell you that. Maybe for planning. I don't know.
My mom actually optimizes her routes to avoid traffic lights.
Oh, yeah. Actually.
Really?
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing.
And she will run stop signs.
Oh,
so,
well, that's not a thing. That shouldn't be.
She's hell on wheels.
Not do that.
Stay away.
No, don't do that.
Yeah.
You know what else we thought was dead? I'm not dead yet. Google Fiber. They announced their first new market in 4 years. The megalopolis of West Des Moines.
Not Des Moines.
West
Des Moines.
West.
Des Moines, Iowa. Okay.
Well, good for them.
Why not? Let's bring it back. I don't know what's going on in this world. Everything is new again. Have you downloaded?
Maybe they had a really good option. Like maybe the city contracted them, or there was, I don't know.
Or maybe they've changed their strategy. We just don't know.
Burg of 57,000 people.
Oh, but boy, you're lucky if you live in West Des Moines. You're happy. Boy, are you happy, man. Just downloaded the new Beta 2 for Android 11, Android R. It is available if you're in the public beta. Now, they call this the Platform Stability Milestone, which means that Beta 2 should carry the final system behaviors as Google approaches a release candidate. I found Android 11 Beta, this is the third release, so there was a Beta 1 release after the original Android 11 release, and I found it to be very stable. Works really well. Some have complained about audio distortion. That's gone. The recent apps screen now works. Screenshots are supposed to work correctly. Screenshots sharing and text selection. I haven't seen any of these problems. It's worked quite well for me. I actually really like Android 11. And we showed earlier in the show, in case you're just joining us, that the power button now does some home automation stuff. if you press it for a second. So that's good. That's the new Android 11. Now, that's all the good stuff Google's doing. Here's the one that's pissing me off. YouTube TV is now $65 a month.
Ooh, people were upset. Kevin was upset.
Yeah,
50?
a lot upset. So it started at 35, went to 50, now goes to 65. So they've been another $15 price hike. This because they say the higher costs of programming. The channels they carry are going to cost more. But don't worry, because you're going to get such great channels as the Paramount Network, MTV, VH1, and TV Land. They're adding more Viacom CBS channels, 14 of them. And they're gonna do that immediately, which is over 85 channels in their base plan. And then later, they're going to add MTV2, MTV Classic, Nick Jr., all stuff I don't really care about. Apparently, they're.
Wait, you're not watching Nick Jr. on the reg?
I should be.
What is MTV? What is it anymore?
It's reality shows. In fact,
do you have each of you? Do you have cable TV?
Yes.
I haven't had cable since 2008.
Wow, Leo, how many channels do you watch in a month?
I don't know. I'm not counting. Basically, I pay for every possible service, every possible form of content, and then watch a handful of shows. But I want to have the choice. So honestly, we probably could turn off the cable, except for news. I need news channels, local news. What else? Lisa watches the local news in the morning. Not that many.
We need Disney Plus, and that's all.
Disney Plus for Hamilton. Got to have it.
Yeah, I'm
not just for Hamilton.
I know.
Every night my daughter watches like 30 minutes of a Marvel movie just to feel happy.
We got YouTube. I canceled YouTube TV when it went to $50, and then Lisa said I can't watch my football games, so I got it back. But now I think she says it's okay to cancel it because she's pissed that it's $65. No, and the only reason I had it is I was trying it so I could report on it. Although the DVR is really nice, makes it really easy to record shows. Steve Gibson says he's going over to Sling TV. They're still $35 for a kind of not quite as deep an offering, but they promise they won't raise their price for a year. But this is you know what? We've seen this story before. This is cable TV. Yeah. This is what happened with cable
everyone
TV.
Warned us this is what everyone said would happen when we started doing streaming. We were like,
disaggregation, because we're going back to reaggregation. Do we really want a la carte TV? Don't we want that?
The challenge
I think we do,
because
the business.
Because companies, just a few companies own so many channels. Like Viacom owns so many. So they're like, you will buy all of our channels or none.
Right.
Which makes total sense from their economic point of view.
Sure.
So
I think, honestly, if I were worried about the spend, and I am at this point, I think the best thing to do is get Netflix, Amazon Prime, maybe Hulu if there's something you want to see on that. There a couple of the over-top services, maybe HBO Max. I subscribe to some weird ones like the Criterion Channel and BritBox because those are interesting. But honestly, you could narrow it down. And I have to say, I bet you this is going to hurt. They say they have 2 million subscribers. I've heard a lot of pain, a lot of howls. That's a lot. That's a cable subscription, right?
Yeah. So there was a story I just put in the rundown that a Pennsylvania town had crappy internet access, so they built a tower to beam it into the homes. And I thought that's exactly how cable started.
Exactly.
In Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Because people couldn't get access.
Yep.
So they built the community access TV.
Yep.
CATV. So there's a yin yang here that the community tries to step up because it wants something. Then the company takes it over, and then the company makes it awful, and then tries to imprison you. And so YouTube thinks we're imprisoned. Disney thinks we're imprisoned.
We're trapped.
But are we really? I mean, I'm gonna do Disney Plus for 1 month.
It's worth it for Hamilton.
That's all I want to see Hamilton, but that's it.
$7.
Bye.
Yeah. It's actually a good deal. Because, I mean, the movie would cost you twice that to go see it.
Plus, Disney Plus is not terrible. There's some good stuff in there.
It's not for me. I don't have any kids, so I don't.
Yeah, right.
Thank God I don't have to watch that crap.
You're saying that because it's so much better than Barney. You're okay having it on. So you're still at that phase.
Yeah, you'll be tired.
Well, no, I would watch it. I like Marvel movies. I guess. What else is on there?
Yeah, there's stuff. Star Trek. Yeah.
We watched The Mighty Ducks the other night.
Never seen it.
I mean,
never will.
Never seen The Mighty Ducks.
Never seen it.
We're not going to do it. No.
All right.
There is no possible reason.
I watched
Brief
Encounter with Trevor Howard last night. So there.
You are so classy. You are such an
David Lean.
Wow.
Actually, that's why I get the Criterion Channel, because they have. It's like having an art house movie theater in your house.
You know, my dumb
Which
thing is
what everyone wants.
Yeah, nobody wants. I know.
I do HGTV, and I do. I love watching the Building Alaska shows and the Building Off the Grid shows. I don't know why I love that.
I enjoy that
like
too.
A fantasy.
Yeah, it's a fantasy. I want to live off the grid. I enjoy, and I'm ashamed to admit it.
He's leaving Facebook, and then he's going to leave electricity.
I can't wait. Lisa and I are we're getting a little. It's a greenhouse, but it's aquaponic. You put fish in the bottom, and then
your biosphere. You're going to live in the biosphere.
It's a little biosphere where we can grow our microgreens. Our microgreens, that's it. That's all we're going to live on for the rest of our lives. It's going to be so awesome. With our well water, we're getting the Tesla battery power wall so I can get off the grid. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's a new show.
Go you.
Life in the Leosphere.
Life in the Leosphere. All right. That's it. That's it. Basta on the changelog. Play that thing. I was, I don't know. Okay. I actually, a lot of times I read articles and I go, Jeff Jarvis, I want to know what Jeff Jarvis says about this. And actually Stacy too. Did you read about this Clubhouse thing?
Oh, yes. I didn't care about it.
I tried to avoid it. I didn't either. I tried my best to avoid it. I ended up having to look at it some.
It's some whiny Silicon Valley power brokers saying, I don't like journalists and that Taylor Lorenz, she sucks. And I listened to the recording for like 5 minutes. And I thought, oh, this is terrible.
Yeah.
But who cares? These are people just
They're mad at her because she was mad at the head of Away, whose employees are mad because she's mean to them. So everybody's just mean to each other.
And I blame Twitter. It's all Twitter turns you into mean people.
No, it doesn't.
No,
yes, it does.
I think venture capitalists just in general are thin-skinned and mean. Yeah, some of them aren't, but there are thin-skinned. And they know. I mean, he can say, oh, I wasn't bullying, but they know when they complain about someone who is and the other thing is, I would say nobody behaved awesomely here. Like Taylor Lorenz probably should not have taken to Twitter on this.
People should just stay off Twitter. I'm telling you.
Yep.
She can't because that's her job.
But. Well, yeah, but to just ignore that.
To attack the CEO on Twitter, not in the story, was
right.
And the head of what's her name? The head of Away said things on Twitter. It's just it brings out things in people.
So related, this Harper's letter.
Oh, I'm just going to disengage right now.
On justice and open debate.
No, we're gonna suck you in, Stacey. You just wait. You're gonna be going after it. So Mike Masnick. So this letter is a whole bunch of names, many respected,
very respected names. Yeah,
all complaining about cancel culture and basically, Bennett at the New York Times being fired and. They put no specifics in here, but that's what
they don't even mention any of those things. They just say,
and getting rid of Woody
speech.
Allen's book.
Free speech is good. Just how can we, without a free exchange of information and ideas, the lifeblood of a liberal society, we can't have a good
yada. And you know me, I'm all Mr. Free Speech, but free speech includes editing. It includes the right to choose what you put up and not put up. It includes not having speech forced upon you. So there's been a lot of great responses. And the brilliant Mike Masnick, in here only last week, wrote a really good piece about this, just tearing it apart. And there have been a lot of other threads that called this, pardon me, Stacey, I'm going to draw you in here, but it wasn't me who said it the first time, just to let you know, moral panic. Josh Benton at Neiman Lab at Harvard just immediately said, this is moral panic. It's not really happening. It's not really a problem. And people are making stuff up. And I didn't say it, Stacey. He did. She doesn't care. She just doesn't care.
Harper, I love Mike's headline.
I'm not engaging.
Harper's gives prestigious platform to famous writers so they can whine about being silenced.
All of whom, or many of whom, rather all, many of whom have tried to silence people in turn. Right.
But, you know, so J.K. Rowling signed it, and, of course, she's been accused of trans sentiments. And, you know, I have to say, I'm going to blame Twitter. It's all Twitter, man. It's stuff. People say stuff on Twitter that are hot takes. They're off the cuff. They're arguably dumb. But they should be treated as
you
temporary.
Could argue the opposite,
and they're not. They're kept permanently on a permanent record. Go ahead, Stacey.
So one of the interesting things I found about the whole J.K. Rowling and the TERF comments was that there is a culture in the UK that's normal. And what's interesting is I would have had no idea of that just because it's something I don't think about. But by having a global platform, we're coming to some sort of agreement on what's okay and what's not between the two countries. And J.K. Rowling is bearing the brunt of that. But at the same time, maybe it will force some people over in the UK to reevaluate how they feel about trans women. And that can't be anything. And, you know, we actually kind of, I'm curious to see, because we haven't talked about this, but like TikTok getting banned, we could see some things like we're seeing cultural aggression from, I'll call it cultural aggression. That's probably a silly thing to say.
No, that's good. I like that. No, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a book.
In terms of values and that sort of thing being pushed with like TikTok. And we're pushing back against that. So in some ways, yes, this is gutting and hard, but it's also, it's cool. It's like what happens when you get different people in the room and you start talking to each other. You're like, you think that's wacky. So
yes.
I love
this
it.
This is society relearning how to have a conversation with itself after 600 years of Gutenberg.
Okay. I'll give you that.
Oh, rolling rhymes with bowling. Thank you.
Oh, I said rowling.
Oh, really?
It's rolling. Okay.
Rolling. Oh.
The lady who wrote the Harry Potter books.
Yes.
But Masnick, I just want to do this one paragraph from Masnick because I'm a big fan. I've never met him, but he was on the show last week, and we love you, Stacey. We also like Mike, and so it was nice to have him here. Yeah, I wish we got to have you and him on the same time.
We'll have him back, absolutely.
And so, but he goes off in these nice little. So Mike comes off as all wry online, right? And on the podcast, he was just this incredibly nice guy, right? Very easygoing, very smart. And he said, yeah, people think that about me. I don't know why. But there's one paragraph. He said, with so many famous and serious authors signing on this letter, I have to call out the use of the word censorious. This word is commonly misused and misunderstood. It does not mean, as many assume, prone to censorship. That is censorial. Censorious actually means hypocritical of others, not trying to force them into silence. That's a Mike Masnick moment, right?
I love it.
He just tosses that in.
He's good. He knows his words, and he has lots of them.
He does.
I liked this story. If I can find it.
The House approving $1 billion for broadband spending?
No, that's a good story. Really? Wow. When did that just happen? That's good. Now the Senate has to approve it, which won't happen.
I was just saying, it's just the House, but the House of Representatives.
It's Infrastructure Week. It's just Infrastructure Week.
Right.
It's the $1.5 trillion infrastructure bill.
I love this story.
$100 billion for broadband.
That'd be lovely.
In the Wall Street Journal, who is the mystery shopper leaving behind thousands of online shopping carts? And it started with various online merchants compared notes and said, this guy, John Smith, he comes in, he buys a bunch of stuff, loads it up in his cart, and never comes back, doesn't buy it, doesn't pull the trigger on it. And yeah, that's been happening to me. This guy named John Smith, he comes in, the email addresses don't match. In fact, when they mail the traditional, hey, you left some stuff in your shopping cart, if I give you a 10% off, would you buy it? Bounce back, because they're not real email addresses. It's a great mystery. But it's also a problem because a lot of these companies pay attention to what people put in their cart and use it for analytics to decide what products to continue to sell, things like that. And it's screwing up their analytics that this John Smith's coming in all the time, messing things up. Quite a mystery until Google admitted, oh, that was us.
Our bad.
Our bad. So Google apparently is part of Google Shopping, because sometimes you have to go to a store and put something in the cart before you can see the final price or add the shipping and handling price. So you can't really tell what something costs until you go through the process of buying it. So Google has created bots to do that, named John Smith, and creating email addresses at Gmail for him. And it's just the way they collect price data. So the mystery solved. Google says the company's looking to clarify how those automated systems will work with merchant websites in the future to avoid confusion. What a mystery. I started reading this. I thought, why is the Wall Street Journal writing about this? This is just a weird
I also
story.
saw...
Oh, it's a good A-head story, that middle story.
Yeah.
A-head. Is that a word?
A-head. Yeah.
What does that mean?
Isn't that what they call
There
it?
it is.
A-head?
Yeah, it says A-head. What is A-head?
It's
It's
the
the
middle
size of the
column
headline.
in the front. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I thought you were asking what it is.
I am asking. I don't know. You guys are pressmen.
Oh, Stacey's right. Go ahead, Stacey.
You know all about
Jeff,
this
you were
stuff.
also right.
What is it?
It's the front page of you know how the front page of the Wall Street Journal, the middle story is always a featurey, fun kind of story.
Oh, and they call that the
their
A-head.
But Jeff is telling you why it's called that.
Why is
Because it just was this. It's that kind of story always that went under that sized headline.
Oh, I get it. So it's really the size. The head's short for headline. It's the size of the headline.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hysterical. That's hysterical. I didn't even know that. So these are these are all the interesting stories.
Yeah, they're the fun one. I mean, like, when I was starting out, I had to read the Wall Street Journal because I was covering bonds in the trading market. So I would always be on the boring pages, but on the way into my job on the subway, I would be reading.
Well, like this story.
A-head.
Amusement parks are reopening, but because screaming is dangerous, in Japan, they're saying you may ride the roller coaster, but you cannot scream.
And stop there right there. So the line is, please scream inside your heart. So everyone on Twitter right now is saying, that's exactly how I feel.
We're all screaming inside our heart right now. I got to see the video. This is a video of two executives from the, we'll turn on the sound, from the amusement park, riding the roller coaster. This is how they suggest you ride the roller coaster. I would say that if you have a mask on, you could scream quietly. Here they are, riding the roller coaster without screaming. This is just
my palms
bizarre.
are sweating already. This is a bridge thing.
Oh, I don't like roller coasters either. They're going up. They're very stoic. They're like, kamikaze pilots. They're about to descend. Is that bad? Is that considered?
Yeah.
Well, it was a thing Japanese people did.
I know, but it's not
okay. Not a good thing. Not something we should bring up. I don't want to offend anybody. Just because.
Too late.
Way too late. Honestly, we went to the kamikaze in Japan. When we were in Japan, they had the kamikaze museum. Really? And they were talking like these guys as heroes and stuff. I said, I don't know if the ships that they dive bombed into, I don't know if they really thought they were heroes.
This is making me nervous.
They're almost to the top. They really are quite stoic. Now,
Well, this is how
The guy on
everybody.
the
I mean,
bow
like
tie is
you're girding yourself.
he's starting to sweat on his forehead a little bit. I see a little sweat on it. See, just because you're an amusement park executive doesn't mean you actually ride these things.
I think in Japan it does.
Does it? You're required to?
I think they're very much a
This is a salaryman job here.
okay.
He's just
I was
looking
like-
around.
Yeah, this guy's like chill,
he's
but they're
really-
not going fast yet. They haven't dropped.
Okay, now they're going
Where is
down.
it? Oh, here it goes.
This is how you're supposed to enjoy a roller coaster. Oh, mask fell off. Hold that mask
Your
up.
mask.
No screaming. No enjoying. Scream
scream on
inside
roller
your heart.
coasters.
You don't? Do you lift your hands off the bar?
No,
Well, you
I just
know
don't
how to-
scream.
you don't know
I
how
just
to
don't think
fun.
I'm a loud. Well, this is the most anticlimactic roller coaster experience I think
Such
I've
a
ever seen.
weird video. Actually, do you think it would be you'd feel better about a roller coaster if you didn't scream, if you just screamed inside your heart?
Well, I'm
Are they
about to tell you that.
sanitizing each thing? Because this guy's touched his face mask like a gajillion times,
Yeah.
and I want that thing sanitized.
This is why I'm not going to the amusement park anytime soon. What keeps falling off his nose? I have
There's
There's a
hand
lot of
back on the
velocity
thing.
happening there.
I bet my mask wouldn't fall off.
He's trying to be good, keeping the mask in place.
Yeah, he's keeping the mask in place. Maybe that's what he's demonstrating. And the other guy who has a properly fitted mask, he's just screaming in his heart. Do you think there's a
this is-
camera operator in this first car?
Because the camera is moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine having to do this backwards.
He's not screaming either. Wouldn't it be funny if at the end they go, ah! They have to shoot it all over again.
This is going to be excellent COVID artifact right here.
It is so weird. It is so weird. Yeah, do you think, I think that all the time, COVID artifact.
That was exciting.
Nope.
And his hair
Is
back
his
in
hair
place.
must? No. All done.
So I put up in the bottom of the other on the rundown, Mike Masnick reacting to this, because everybody reacted today.
Yeah.
Mentioning Masnick again in the Masnick fan club.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, I'm like, I can leave, Jeff.
I know. We're going to get a room. So he put up a great thread, which I just read.
Oh, he's
A
shaking.
little shake there.
His
a little
hands are
shake.
shaking.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Where Mike, as a nipper, hated roller coasters, wouldn't do it, despised it, and his friends on this summer camp thing kept bugging him. He said, "Okay, if I ride this one, you'll leave me alone." And they said, "Okay," and so they dragged him to it, and they told him, "You're not gonna be afraid if you scream," and he screamed and he felt better.
Aww.
So now you can't.
Aww, I'm
You have to
sorry,
scream
Mike.
in your heart.
Actually, that's true. The times I've been tricked into roller coasters, I scream as loud as I can the whole time. That does seem to help a little bit. Makes you.
Well, I couldn't because I would be passed out and dead.
Well, don't do a
Coronary.
roller coaster then.
Fraunhofer has created a new video compression codec, VVC.
Now this is geeky.
This is
We
good.
talked about it on my show.
Yeah, good. See, so you know.
See, I said you're geeky.
Fraunhofer created the MP3. They created H.264. They created H.265, the high-efficiency video codec, which is in wide use right now. Their new codec, VVC, which is H.266, they say can get files shrunk by 50% more than H.265. That's pretty impressive. There is an issue, and this does relate to Google, because Google won't use it.
Yeah, they have their own standard, yeah?
Yeah, and they don't like the H.dot standards because they're patent encumbered. There's a licensing.
I was going to say they have to pay Fraunhofer.
Well, yeah, there's actually. So remember, there was the MPEG Alliance was handling the license originally for all of this. The new license organization is Media Coding Industry Forum, or MC-IF. Companies including Apple, Ericsson, Intel, Huawei, Microsoft, Qualcomm, and Sony. They say, Fraunhofer says it'll be FRAND licensed, which means reasonable, but still you got to pay, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
what does FRAN stand for?
Fair, reasonable, and
Oh,
something else. I don't remember. But the idea is that it'd be, you wouldn't go for the jugular. That you'd charge a fair amount. And I don't.
Fair,
Fair,
reasonable, and
non-discriminatory.
non-discriminatory. We Google.
We Google at the same time.
Who needs a brain?
Simultaneous Googling. So that's
I
good.
used to actually cover licensing for an IP publication.
But see this, so you won't see this on YouTube. But because they have their VP9 codec and their own Google codec, so that's not good actually. That there's a schism in the video codec world. I think I'm pretty much done it all. Anything that I missed in here?
Wow. Well, no, I got to see. I think I had some fun thing or two. Let's see what was it here.
If it has to do with Facebook, I say we skip it.
Fine with me. Fine with me. We could talk about the oversight board. It's going to be around until the fall, and people are having some fits about that, but we're not going to talk about that because Stacey didn't want to talk about that.
Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State, says the U.S. is looking at banning TikTok.
TikTok. Oh, yeah, that's what I was referencing with our...
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
India has banned it and 56 other Chinese apps. But I wonder what would happen if the U.S. government tried to ban TikTok.
And the story said it's an empty threat. They can't. They're not going to.
Yeah.
Well, they could.
Under what?
How are
How
you
would
going
they
to
get
ban
Apple
an
and
app?
There's a
Google.
First Amendment issue.
Yeah. They couldn't get Apple and Google to pull it. But they could put pressure on them. So it's a big problem in India where a lot of influencers who use TikTok and make money with TikTok are very frustrated. One guy said, I've spent 2 years building, a career on TikTok, and now it's gone.
This is why you own your own platform.
Right.
End of story.
Lesson learned. TikTok,
Sorry.
TikTok, oddly, which is a Chinese company, is quitting Hong Kong because they don't want to be used to surveil activists, which sounds very odd.
That is
Yeah, when other
odd.
companies just said, we're not going to give you data, but TikTok pulled out of Hong Kong. I
Right.
couldn't interpret that.
Yeah.
Maybe because they couldn't say no.
Oh, they can't.
To the Chinese
but can
government.
they pull out?
They
They did.
tried.
I
They
guess
did. I
they
mean, we'll
did.
see if that's
Yeah.
what are they going to do?
Isn't that
Get back
interesting?
in there.
Yeah. Uber is
I
going
have
to
two
require
quick-
drivers
I'm
and passengers to wear face masks.
Good.
They didn't before?
I know. I'm amazed at that.
Mary Jo
We're
Foley.
going to have the Karen and Ken Uber videos.
I feel bad for small
Slamming
businesses
doors.
that try to force people to wear masks and the people say no. I just don't.
I'm grateful, very grateful to the businesses who then escort those people out. But the thing is, if you take like the Walmarts and that, those people wore masks to get in. Once in, it's all theater.
Right,
It's anger theater.
right,
They decide to have a fit.
right.
I have two quick stories that I want to mention.
Yes.
One is Gina Trapani. I don't want to make Stacey, feel.
I don't. I like Gina.
Okay.
I have plenty of ego, Jeff.
I know. I didn't mean to say I know. I don't think you were going to say that. No, I said yes
No, it's
anyway.
okay.
Way ahead of her time. There was a story about how document creation now is finally doing what Wave was intended to do. And Dear Gina wrote the book on Wave, and then it got killed. But it's true. A lot of document companies, Notion, Coda, Airtable, are really putting together the whole idea of dynamic and collaborative and inserted element document creation.
So they left
So I
out
just wanted to mention
Rome.
this.
Rome Researchers is another really good one.
Good one.
I use Notion. In fact, this is my Laporte family Notion, but I use it for planning shows. We have show rundowns in there. I think Notion is really, really cool. All of these can be public web pages. You can embed content. I use it to prepare a couple of shows. We also use it for iOS Today to produce the show together. I've created pages like this. This is my COVID-19 page where I have a lot of information. For instance, I made a big page on mask making as I was doing the research. You're able to embed videos, content, text, modify it. When I traveled in the good old days, this is when I started using Notion. I started using it for a travel blog because you can make this a public web page.
Canceled and canceled.
Canceled and canceled. This is where we would have been. And it's nice because when you make a page, you know, you can embed all sorts of content, maps and images. You can have a calendar. You can look at your calendar in a variety of views as a calendar view. But you can also have a card view. So I think it's I love Notion. I really do. Now, there's a free version that allows you to have up to 1,000 blocks of data. But then there's also it's cheap to pay for. I think it's $40 a year for unlimited use. I do everything with it. I keep my hardware inventory in here. I have system setup scripts in here. So when I set up a new device, I have all the information I need.
God, you are so organized. This
is a really
view of Leo's brain.
Well, that's the idea. This is Leo's brain, right? This is get it out.
I would have thought Stacy would be disorganized, but I wouldn't have expected.
Look, here's something: movies I want to watch in quarantine. These are.
Oh, Babe, Pig in the Sea.
I know you'd like that. I know you'd
Beyond
like
the Lights.
Yeah,
that's a good movie too.
Yeah, these are. I've seen Babe, but a lot of these I haven't seen. I've seen Cloud Atlas. So, yeah. This was from an article somewhere. So that's another thing when I'm trying to remember books I want to read or, quotes I want to keep track of or, that kind of thing. My car shopping. These are my list of requirements.
When is the Mustang going to be out?
Well, supposedly I'm supposed to get an email that I can order this thing now, but I haven't gotten that email. So supposedly it's going to come out very soon, like probably the next couple of months. So it's nice. I love Notion.
So that's good. So it's a nice story.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Wave was this. I would rather use Notion or Airtable, which is a similar, although tabular, more focused tabular. I use Coda as well. I would prefer to use those in Wave. The problem with Wave, it was just kind of
early,
complicated and amorphous.
It was early. It was a notional thing to explore the idea, and they were on top of it, but they couldn't turn it into something quick enough for them.
I don't think we're at the end.
impatient.
I don't think we're at the end of the line. I think this is just the beginning of rethinking what a document is in a way that is finally divorced from paper and manila folders and things like that. And
because Leo, we are past Gutenberg.
We are past Gutenberg.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I tweeted that Gina was way ahead of her time, and she just said, "Aw."
Aw.
So the other story I just want to mention, because I found it fascinating. I read the whole thing really quickly. I want to go back and read it again. New Yorker piece on cloud kitchens, ghost kitchens.
This is really, I think, one of the things I've been really finding interesting is how the COVID crisis is going to change how we live after the COVID crisis.
Yes.
And one of the things that seems clear is that restaurants no longer need to have dining rooms. And
in fact, it may be not just need to, it may be a horrible waste of real estate and, unfortunately, labor.
So there are a lot of ghost kitchens isn't the term I've heard before. I can't remember what the term is, but there are a lot of basically kitchens that don't have dining rooms, but you get takeout. So the delivery guy comes, picks them up, brings it to you. You eat at home. And
what's fascinating, so this company called Reef is a huge owner of parking lots.
Oh.
And their belief, and so they control parking lots, and they started by having a parking lot reservation.
So they're talking food trucks then.
But yes, so they put they believe parking lots are going to need to be repurposed.
Oh, interesting.
And they can put trucks there, and that truck can be 20 different restaurants.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what? Walmart's doing drive-in movies in their parking lots.
Yeah,
I think there's a real interesting play there.
So I think restaurants will change. But I was talking about this on Twitter, I think. Lisa wanted to. Did I talk about this last week? I think it was on Twitter. Lisa wanted to buy a badminton set, and we could have ordered it on Amazon. It would have come 5 days later, but she realized, Dick's Sporting Goods over here, and the pickup process was amazing. It was so easy. She ordered it online, paid online. You give her you give them the car model and information, and when she drives up, there's slots. They put it in your car and you drive off.
Yeah, like Best Buy.
And it makes me, a lot of stores are doing this. It makes me really think that may be also the future of retail, that these big stores might just be warehouses And the advantage this is where the advantage they have over Amazon is you can pick it up right away. So it's all the advantage of e-commerce without
Amazon might buy JCPenney's or might buy Macy's.
Right. They might need this. Yeah.
Right. So it's not just restaurants, but the idea is that you can do that and I just found it absolutely fascinating because it changes the economics completely. Now that goes into whatchamacallit having been bought by Uber. What was it? You had the story earlier.
Postmates.
Thank you. Right. So yes, your point is it changes the use of this real estate immensely.
Right. What about, I've also been thinking about this with higher education. Our son has been going to online high school for a couple of years now anyway. It's accredited. It's actually free because it's public school in California. They get paid just like any public school that's using the charter school system. He gets a state curriculum, approved curriculum, gets a high school degree like anybody else would. And it turns out he was very well suited for the quarantine because he was doing it before the quarantine.
Yeah.
And I wonder how many students. So I found this. This is the University of the People. I don't know what you think of this. But
they're good people, yeah.
Yeah, the whole idea is this is a nonprofit, American-accredited, tuition-free online university. And I love the idea that anybody who wants to go to college can do it while they're working a job at home. And I don't know how good the curriculum is. I've read pros and cons. It's maybe kind of middle of the road. But I think this is really interesting.
So what happens, I wrote about this in What Would Google Do, the Googly University, right? Yeah. And if you separate and so you have students complaining about missing the experience of college. Well, I've been on 100 of these tours, as have you, Leo, and soon you will go, Stacey, where they're selling you the dining hall and the food court and the dorms and the sports arena.
Oh, I used to give those tours.
By the way, we have classes too.
You were at the University of Texas, Austin, right?
Oh, I bet you.
I did, but I did it as part of a program designed to attract minority and underrepresented students.
Oh, that's cool. See, even then, Stacey, you put your spin on it right there.
Yes.
That extra caring spin.
So if you separate out the functions, right, the education is one, certification is one, do you get a degree?
Right.
Socialization is one, research is one, right? And the problem is that when you disaggregate all of that, which I think is going to happen, I agree, and education and socialization even aren't going to go together, I don't think anymore because of COVID. What happens to research? Right? What happens to expertise in research? Who's going to pay for that? Government's not going to. There's not enough Bell Lab jobs in the world. That's what.
Well, doesn't government pay for most university research?
No.
That actually is part of the conversation at Harvard, because I know Karsten should weigh on this, but when you get a Harvard education, how much of it is the classwork you do, and how much of it is hanging out, in your college and the dining hall and the people you meet and the experience of being in Boston.
I think I'm going to take over the social graph myself, so that's mine. What are you going to take over, Leo?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think Mark Zuckerberg, what he got out of Harvard had nothing to do with the courses he was taking. Do you think? No. So that is, you make an excellent point. I mentioned this before. My dad, was a university professor for years, is now retired, said really the notion of a college in the early days was collegiate, was a place for scholars to get together and discuss scholarship, as much as it was not like a high school where you have a teacher and classes and you take exams. It was really more about getting together. It was about the social experience, and maybe that's in a library, of course, and maybe that and some expertise.
So then you have Melrose Place apartments where you have your socialization.
Yeah.
Right, and then you do your classes online. And then you take a test somewhere to get certified that you've done your work, and you
got in a big kerfuffle with, I think, was it Taylor Lawrence on Twitter over the notion of a gap year. You said it's a privileged thing to be able to
It was not just her; it was a few people. It was Taylor Lawrence, and I couldn't. I was trying to make a simple point, and I found myself mansplaining, so I drew back. The argument, I said that gap years are privileged, or a sign of privilege. And people said, well, no. They can take a few courses at community college. And I said, well, no, because A lot of these colleges don't take those credits. I hate to tell you, it's just like AP credits. Doesn't work so well. Well, they can get jobs. I said, well, have you heard we got a depression going on? There's not jobs to be had. People trying to support their families are taking any job they can get. So, well, then they save money. I said, well, no, they still end up spending 4 years. If they went to college this fall online, they save on room and board. Then if we're back to normal, they've got 3 more years. They've had a net savings. And I couldn't get that argument across to her or to anybody. But, the gap year is a wonderful thing. I wish I'd had one. I was stupid. I didn't take it. I'm not against them. But the shtick out there now is, well, after Harvard announced, well, if I were in college, I'd just take a gap year and I wouldn't go. That's easy for you to say, but you presume that.
Well, you don't have to. I mean, if Harvard would defer your matriculation a year, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be a question of privilege. You can work.
Well, the issue. Well,
you can work for a year.
Number one, so that presumes you got a home that you can go sit in for a year. And
you work. You get a job, and you work, and you live like a normal person.
Have you heard? We've got the Great Depression on. We have 15% unemployment.
Right.
There aren't jobs to be found.
My daughter got a job at Trader Joe's. There maybe aren't appropriate jobs to be found, but there are jobs out there.
So I always say, so my students, as
somebody
as
just
one of my
getting out of
colleagues
high
at
school,
CUNY,
taking a year off before they go to college, I think there's probably sufficient things they could do to support themselves.
As a colleague of mine said at CUNY, when we have our CUNY students, then you're going back to an apartment with 3 generations and probably going to get COVID, and you can't find a job.
Well, it's not.
And
look,
and
but that has nothing to do with gap
and,
years or college. That's life now.
It does, but if you have your college and you have the scholarship, there's going to be a lot more scholarship money this year than there is going to be in 2 years. I'll tell you that for sure.
Do you want to go to Harvard online? That doesn't sound like much fun.
What's the goal of going there? The goal of going there in the end should be education.
No, not at all.
No. The goal of going there is networking with all the fancy people who have connections.
What's wrong with that, ladies and gentlemen? That's where
well,
back to your previous stories.
That's wrong. I mean, that may be not your ideal.
Carson was not some fancy kid. He was a kid from Montana, had good grades, was a smart kid, got into Harvard. I don't know what his scholarship situation was.
Where he's landed now. Well, that worked well, Carson.
It did work well. He got his first job because, what did he say? He said it in the chat room. He got his job from his college best friend's ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend. It's the people you meet. Yale helped me not one whit. No, wait a minute, take it back. Yale did because I got into radio because I used the campus radio station. But it wasn't about education. It was about the scene. It was about being there.
That's the problem.
Honestly, college really is just a halfway house for kids who are not yet ready to enter the real world.
Well, that's what I'm saying is we're going to separate those functions, I think. You're going to go move to the Melrose Place and get socialized.
Yeah.
And you're going to get your degree separately. You're going to get your certification separately.
Wait, why do you keep saying move to the Melrose Place? I don't understand what you're talking about.
Socialization. There's a socialization function.
Some apartment building somewhere.
And so it's... Melrose
I'm just like, what is...
It was a TV show. It was a soap.
It was a TV show where they were all young people, and this is where they socialized.
All right.
Oh, Jesus. Stacey, you just make me feel so effing old.
I'm so sorry. That may just be a reference I just didn't get.
That's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I barely got it. I never.
Okay.
He's a former TV guide critic.
He keeps using these words like they're a thing.
You can't expect to understand what he's talking about. He comes from a different place from you and me.
I do.
Oh, yeah. Someone pointed out Jeff was a TV critic.
Yes. See?
Yeah, that's what it was.
He watched all
I stopped watching television when 21 Jump Street. Like that was like there's like a 20-year gap in my television history.
Coming up next, it is time for our picks of the week. This week on the show, I think because Stacey hasn't been here, let's have our pick of the week from Stacey.
I gotta go get it. Hold on.
Oh, she's gonna go get it.
Oh, play the jingle. Play the jingle. Play the jingle.
We're getting some mileage out of that. Stacey.
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 Stacey. IoT.
Yay. And now Stacey's pick of the week.
Pick of the week, which is also just Stacey's for the next couple weeks, you guys. Y'all are going to be part of my pick of the week will be Stacey's to-do item of the week.
Oh, good. I like it.
This week is installing the Eufy doorbell. If you listen to my show, you can skip this because I'm going to talk about why I chose this. But
Eufy is an Anchor brand badge, right?
It is.
Yeah. Terrible name.
Is it Eufy?
No, it's Eufy, I think. It's terrible. It's some other language probably. But Anchor makes great stuff. So I think if it's Eufy, it's got to, with a name like Eufy, it's got to be good.
It's got to be something. So this is their doorbell. And my house had a Vivint doorbell, but I didn't want to pay for the Vivint subscription, even though the Vivint video doorbell is quite good. So without a subscription, the Nest doorbell, which is what I wanted to get, is pretty useless. And my husband was adamant he did not want to pay anything. So I was like, okay. And next up was Arlo, because that actually is a pretty good doorbell. And they also had a subscription. So Eufy did not. And they also have an external security chime because for some reason my doorbell does not connect to the doorbell transformer.
The Ring would do that too. So you plug this in and it connects via Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be complicit with Ring at this moment.
No, I think Ring
couldn't do it.
Ring is on the outs. Yep.
So this is what I purchased. It was $159.
And 99 cents.
And 99 cents. And got the wrong
so it
code.
doesn't put the video up on the cloud.
It does. It has local storage. It does not put it on the cloud.
So, but you
Well, there is a
can you
cloud
go back
option.
in time and see what happened earlier? So, for instance, when we were on vacation last year, somebody drove over our mailbox. You know, one of those rural route mailboxes on a post. It's outside on the street. Somebody crushed it. I was able to go look at the video from the doorbell and see who did it.
Well,
because I was able to go
get
back in
their-
time.
Did you get their?
Well, it turned out I
license
figured out who it was. It was the lady who delivers the newspaper. And because I could see she was folding the newspaper and not paying attention. And she, in slow motion, drove right over my mailbox.
Oh.
And to her credit, I also saw her come back later that day on the doorbell trying to find us. And again, the next day trying to find us.
Oh,
so she was very honest. And I said, oh, please, we were going to get a new mailbox anyway. Don't worry about it.
you're such a nice guy.
Yeah, she wanted to pay for it. I said, no. How
what
much
she makes?
How much do you
Delivering
make
papers?
delivering newspapers? No, I can't let you do that. We're gonna replace it anyway. So it's nice to have. What my point being, it's nice to be able to go back in time. Can you do that with this?
I don't remember. It's been a
You'll
crazy
find out.
couple of
Because
weeks.
that's really what you pay for on those subscriptions is the storage of the historic.
Right. Really, we just needed a doorbell that would ring in the house. That was our priority.
Okay.
Is less. It does say 24/7 monitoring.
You
can't
probably pay
remember
for
right.
that, right? Later.
Yeah, I think there's an option. Is there an option? I can't remember.
Okay.
Just ignore me. This is a terrible pick of the week just because I don't know enough yet.
No, it's good. What's nice is when Ring started, it was really Ring and Skybell, and Skybell
Ring,
was terrible.
Skybell. I loved Skybell. It was
Really?
actually better than the first Ring, believe it or not. It had better.
I bought a Skybell and was so unhappy I looked for something else. That's when I got a Ring. But now there's a lot of competition.
Yeah, and August had one, and that was the worst.
Really?
Anyway, so if you're interested,
So they encrypt the data. They actually have storage on the
they have storage
doorbell.
on the device.
So that's probably how they do it, and it's encrypted, and then you can get it on your phone. That's a pretty slick way to solve that. Your recorded footage is stored locally and transmitted only to you. So no police department, nobody else. Although I presume at some point you could share it if you had, some reason to share it with the police. Oh, and you can also record and set up 3 instant responses. So you can press a button and says, I'm doing a podcast. Leave the box. Or something like that.
The water filtration system is under the stairs.
By the way,
Come on
if
in
you
and
want,
don't mind the dog.
kind of as a benefit of your employment here at Twit, I'd be glad to record that for you. I'm doing a podcast. Leave the box. There you go. We'll send you. We'll send you the recording.
Yeah. I'll get. And they'll be like, this guy sounds vaguely familiar, and I'll be like,
You sound so friendly too.
Are you saying that I would not
There's
sound
a
friendly?
smile in his voice. No, he's a professional. He has a smile in his voice.
Hi, I'm busy doing a podcast right now, but if you'd like to leave that package, box, or tank on my front porch, I'll compensate you later. Ding. Nice, Eufy. It's actually less than all the competition too, right? $160 is pretty good.
It is.
Yeah.
And next week, after I install it, because this
can
is on
see
my
it.
to-do list,
We shall
I will
see it.
tell you. I'll show
Now,
you the
do you
app.
not have that wire, those wires that lead to the
I
doorbell?
have the wires that will offer power. They just don't go to the
doorbell?
the transformers in the doorbell chime. So I don't really understand.
Yeah, we have a separate transformer that the wires go to, and then the wire from the transformer goes to the chime. That's interesting.
Yeah, so we'll see.
So the previous
I'm-
owners apparently didn't want any visitors.
Well, no, they just had it. I think they had the Vivint app that went to their Vivint alarm panel it rang on.
Oh, so they had their own home automation.
Yeah, they had a whole Vivint setup, but I'm not paying for the whole Vivint setup.
Jeff, do you have a number?
Barely. Benedict Evans, I'm in his fan club too, like
Me
the Mike
too.
Nasdaq
Love
fan
Benedict Evans.
club. And I'm in the Stacy IoT fan club, just to be absolutely
It's
clear
okay,
here.
Jeff.
So he has a revise of his annual State of the Economy, which we talked about on the show a few months ago, redone with COVID. What I'm about to say has nothing to do with that, but it's a good presentation, always is. But slide number 18, just give me a factoid I didn't know. So I thought this is a number. I didn't know that in 2017, not exactly up to the minute here, 40% of heterosexual couples in the United States met online.
40%?
40%.
Holy
I found that
moly.
amazing because I'm an old fart. And we didn't have it that way. We had to do it the old-fashioned way and go into the Rexall and say, "Hey there, can I share a Coke with you?"
So how did you meet online, Stacy? I mean, how did you meet your husband, Andrew? You didn't meet online, obviously. You met at the University of Texas.
We were both RAs at the dorm.
So you met in a dorm. And Jeff,
Yeah,
how did
we
you
actually met cleaning up beer.
you were both on your hands and knees saying, "This is a crap job.
This is shitty.
I don't like this job, but I like you."
These spoiled little brats we got to take care of. Jeez.
How'd you meet your wife, Jeff?
Working at Time Inc.
Yeah.
How did you meet your wives? Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Well, let
I
me see.
apologize.
Wife number 1, we worked together. Wife number 2 was a setup. Wife number 3, we worked together. Wife number 4, I met on a mission to Mars. Wife number 5, I met on Mars. Wife number 6, I met in prison in Mars. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you,
sorry.
Jeff. No, but that's really one thing that's changed. I can't believe it's such a big number, 40%. And that's 3
So I
years
knew it-
ago. That's
It's
amazing.
amazing. There's a woman I met some years ago who did a blog I really quite liked in Japan. It was like Japan Shoes blog or something. She was really good. I was going to start a blog company at the time, and I didn't, but I talked to her for that. She returned from Japan. She was in Japan for a boyfriend. They broke up, whatever. She came back. She'd been over there for like 6 years. She said the biggest change when she came back was that suddenly everybody was finding their dates online. When she left, no, nobody did that. That would be, a little creepy. And when she came back, it was just everybody.
You know what, though? It's interesting. So initially, it was probably Match.com and, eHarmony and the traditional dating things. I bet you by now it's more than half Tinder, and it's like,
Really?
yeah, I bet you it is. Every kid I know, everybody under 30 I know uses Tinder.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, people use it. Do you use Tinder to find your
You use
Love
to meet
or your
people, sure.
evening?
Well, no, it's not just a hookup app. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of hookups, but I think that's how people, they look for somebody attractive and they say hi and I'm sure it can develop into a relationship. I bet you much more than the formal dating apps, but I don't know. I don't know. Well, we'll have to
I really
check
need
in with.
some donuts.
Okay,
Where
I'm not
did
going to
that
ask. I am not going to ask.
We're just talking about dating, and I'm like, you know what would be great
Some
if I had
donuts.
some donuts.
Is this Is this an
Did
old?
you go on donut dates?
No, this is just me. Like, we're talking about dating. I have no interest in dating because, I'm married.
I see. Oh, right.
This
none
is
of
my
us are
brain wandering
dating.
off topic.
All right,
Well, I
then
know.
you might be interested in our newest feature on the show, Karsten Bondi's Mask of the Week. Now, I thought, Karsten, we were going to actually go to Karsten Cam and show you wearing this mask. I guess we can't because this is a mask he got for his father. So his father has it now. This is a mask that actually looks like Dad's face, apparently.
Lady Gaga was wearing one of those.
Yeah. That's. Well, I wonder, does face recognition, Karsten, does it work with that, or can you sign into your phone with that? All right, that's not the only one.
Andrew Hayward, the former president of CBS News.
And here's another one. This is, I guess this is it. Custom face mask. Upload your photo. You get a reusable cloth mask with a filter. Only $18.
Creepy.
I might do that.
So you want something related?
Yeah.
Where can I put a link? Microsoft Research is actually looking for people to fill out surveys about mask fashion. So here, I'm just going to stick it.
No, I can just Google mask fashion survey. I bet you if I do that.
It's at line 202 in our show notes.
Oh, well.
It's from
line 202.
Microsoft Research. Yeah, the very bottom.
Mr.
This is why I never
Laporte,
add anything.
Stacy is on line 202 for you. Are you a designer making face masks? Yes, I am. The emergence of PPE development and fashion.
I just thought that was really interesting.
I'm going to do it because I am a designer.
It ties to what Karsten's doing.
Yeah. So Karsten's going to be doing this on a regular basis, his mask of the week. But Karsten, next week, I want Karsten Cam and, maybe, I guess we can't because you would have to actually have the mask, and I'm not spending a penny on this feature. So never mind. Forget I even.
So my wife got me. So we have some of the square, medical like masks. We got a box of those. I've been using that. My wife got some. I have a big face, it appears.
Go ahead. This is my pick. I can't stop it. Just turn it down, Jeff, for a minute. Go ahead.
So my wife got me. She got a box of 10 Hanes masks, which made me a little odd because it reminded me of Leo's tidy whitey mask. And
do they fit?
Won't fit.
Oh,
my face is too big.
Try Swaddle Me Designs. They have.
That sounds
they
worse.
Have a
I'm gonna
large
wear a
mask.
diaper.
No, they make blankets. It's a nurse in Seattle who actually makes swaddles for kids, but they retooled their factory to make masks.
That's cool. I'm telling you, masks are going to be the next big thing. So Lynette says, I converted my baby blanket factory in Seattle to making masks. How cool is that? So do I click
and
this?
she's also a former nurse, so you just got to find the masks section.
Yeah, here it is. They're baby
But not all of
blankets.
it.
There's
We
some nice
have
ones.
these.
There's denim, chambray.
The size large, Jeff, is fairly large.
These are
if
pretty.
that helps.
Is it my nose? Is that the problem?
I don't know. I can only wear a size large too. I have a big face.
See, honestly, I don't like the ear. I don't like the ear loops. They make my ears stick out. I don't understand why everybody wants ear loops.
She had some that had a head topper thing too.
A head topper.
Wait, it was like a 3. I don't know if you scroll down.
A head topper. I don't. Oh, you
And
can
you
get
can
them
buy
in
them in
bulk?
bulk.
That's nice. Turn it $20. You can get 40 cotton fabric. That's nice. And these are fine. These are good. These are exactly what you want. Double layer cotton fabric. They're not medical, so they're not taking it away from any physicians that need them. That's why I make mine. I make mine with quilting cotton and silk. But see, I like this attachment system because it really can.
Oh, that's nice.
It seals it in. You pull it tight and it seals the sides and the bottom. But I'm working on the newest iteration.
Oh, have you gotten it yet?
Not yet. I'm waiting for them to 3D print my mask fitter. As soon as that's done, stand back because I'm going to have a mask for the ages.
My Lord, I just went to Etsy. If you go to Etsy and click on masks,
There's a ton of masks from Etsy. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my Lord. It's never ending.
It's great.
Shall I show you the mask? Okay, Lisa, if you're watching, stop. This is the mask I just ordered for Lisa. These are animal face masks.
That's adorable.
Isn't that cute? So since she really likes our black and white kitties, isn't that sweet? That is so sweet. But they're also...
Oh, I like that too, yeah.
You get corgi, all kinds of animals. These are gators, so again, they're not perfect masks. But you know what? Folks, any mask is
better than being a
none.
bozo and not wearing a mask.
Better than being the one that's not wearing a mask. And gators are really, Lisa loves gators because they're very convenient. You wear it around your neck and you pull it down when you're not masking, which of course is only when you're inside. Oh, I might get that one. It's a little piggy. So my pick of the week, you heard it in the background. So this is a really cool
relaxing
ambient sound. It's called Project Audio for GitHub, github.audio. And what you're actually listening to is the GitHub API. So when somebody does the chimes are there are three types of sounds. The bell represents push events. The string plucks represent issue events and issue comment events, and the swells represent pull request events. So he's hooked into the API. So this is actual in real-time activity going on GitHub. Either people pulling, which means they want to take a project and start working on it. Issues, which means they're reporting bug reports and so forth. And then pushes, I guess, which means they're actually pushing an update to a project. That's the little high ones. So it's very pretty, isn't it?
Brian Eno meets an API.
Yeah.
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 Nice.
There's actually a number of things like this. Once I found this, I found a bunch of other ones where people tie in, but none of them is quite as pretty as this one. This is github.audio. These are, but this is showing how much activity is going on in the open source space all the time.
Does it get more at midnight?
You know, I don't know. I haven't left it on long enough. I bet you there's more as the evening goes on, don't you think? Yeah.
I would guess, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's also got a beautiful visualization, or simple but attractive visualization. So I thought that was pretty cool. Brian Eno meets an API. I like that. Folks, that concludes our thrilling, gripping edition of... By the way, this is the other thing I like about this. This is music that I can play without getting pulled down on YouTube. It will never sound the same twice. Thank God I found something like that. We do this show every Wednesday afternoon, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern, 20:30 UTC. You can watch us do it live at twit.tv/live. That's where the live audio and video streams are. If you do that, check in with the chat room, irc.twit.tv. They're all watching live at the same time. Jeff Jarvis is...
See what I got here?
What do you got? Publish or perish?
I've had this since I got out of college. Publish or perish.
And I forgot.
I keep it before me.
I brought with me, before we close off the show, this is the bar scanner we were talking about.
Oh.
The dash wand.
The dash wand that they're discontinuing. And I was going to play what it sounded like for you. So let's see, scan some codes. Well, there's a problem. Let's see if it'll recognize. I brought some foodstuffs from our snack.
It's already discontinued.
Stupid. You know what? It may be.
Maybe.
It may be. It worked
Yeah,
the last time I tried it. It might be already discontinued. Because it's dead.
Huh.
So this is the thing that you press the button and it goes, swipes. And it adds them to your Amazon shopping list. It doesn't do anything else. It's totally stupid.
I had one.
Yeah. And it's discontinued. So you had a dash wand.
I did have a
You
dash
weren't on
wand.
the show, I guess, when we were talking about it. No, I don't think you were. So I had promised Jeff that I would bring it in, but now I think it's officially. They must have just ended They said they were ending support July 21st. Well, maybe they did. Maybe nobody noticed they ended it sooner. Stacey Higginbotham is at staceyoniot.com. That's where her podcast is that she does with Kevin Toffel. Don't forget her newsletter. It's free and it's great. And your next event, what's that going to be?
It's going to be about what happens. Okay, the idea is that every product you sell now is connected. So it's called Everything is Connected. Mm-hmm. And we're doing a couple panels on what that means from a business perspective, how you sell the product. And then it's not online yet.
Oh, okay.
Y'all are hearing it first.
Nice.
And how to build a project designed to work, how to technically build a product that's designed to fit into an ecosystem. So it's going to be super fun. I've got people from Intel, Honeywell, OpenPath, a couple other Microsoft, other companies. So, yay.
Nice. Very nice.
Nice.
Mr. Professor, where did I put your... Oh, here it is.
You already did me.
Oh, I didn't do this thing. Jeff Jarvis is the Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. He has published and is therefore a full professor with all the honors and rights due thereof. You did not perish. I love that. Is that on your desk?
It used to be. So I put it on the bookshelf now. I literally have had this for many years.
Was that a gift from somebody when you graduated?
No, I thought I was amused by the phrase, so I made it.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I lived in the publisher parish world. My dad became a full professor at a very young age, so I didn't have to worry. But I remember vividly him working on those papers, working on those books. Folks, we will be back next Thursday, but you know what? Or next Wednesday, but if you... Definitely not next Thursday. But if you if you would like to get a copy of this show or any of our previous editions, those are all online at twit.tv/twig or subscribe in your favorite podcast application. If you do subscribe that way, you'll get it automatically. You don't have to think about it. And that's a nice thing. So we'd appreciate it if you do it. We are doing our traditional after hours again on Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern time on the live stream. This week, what are we doing, Carson? They told me and I forgot. It's going to be fun. It's a game of some sort. Anyway, tune in. It's always a lot of fun. And I think Shira will be with us, and I think Florence Ion. It should be a lot of fun. I'll be back on Saturday. The tech guy is back on. We took a weekend off for the holiday weekend, but I will be back Saturday, and then Sunday, a brand new Twit episode. Clue, that's it. You decided to go on Clue? Good. They're going to be playing the game of Clue. That should be a lot of fun.
It says here that is it connected to the Wi-Fi in the studio? Does it need to be near your Amazon thing?
I used it like 2 days ago, right here, sitting right here on this thing. It does seem like it's not connected, doesn't it? But it worked. I put batteries in it and everything, and it worked. So I don't know what's going on. I don't care.
You've done it. You've done the whole show. It's over.
It's over.
It's over, Leo.
I don't want to go home.
No, it's over.
I'm going to say it's Miss Scarlett in the living room with the electric pencil. That's my guess. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time on Twig.
Hey folks, I am Micah Sargent, co-host of Tech News Weekly right here on the Twit Network. Yes, Tech News Weekly is a show we do every week, Jason Howell and myself, where we talk to people who are making and a break in the tech news. That's right, it's journalists, it's inventors, it's app makers, it's everybody who's bringing the tech news in a given week. It's all the stuff you want to know about in bite-sized chunks in a fantastic package. So be sure to subscribe. It's twit.tv/TNW.